to make note that the fire exits are located to the side and the back of the auditorium.
Prior to open session, there was an executive session. There was only one vote, which were the minutes to the executive meeting prior last month, and as well as the special session with the town council. Everything else was just an update. There was one other vote regarding an MOU related to the paraprofessionals. Oh, and there was also another vote for homeschooling. Okay. So the first thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes from the regular session minutes for August 9th, 2022 and August 25th, 2022. Bills, scholarship fund for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $1,000. General fund bills for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $1,642.07. General fund bills for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $374,005.17. General fund and grant fiscal year 23 in the amount of $214,844.80. General fund grant and food service fiscal year 23 in the amount of $151,407.36.
Second?
Do I have a discussion?
Give some kudos.
Okay.
Stephanie, I would like to commend you for this set of bills. I have been asking for a long time, and you promised that they would become as the system was implemented. They're very detailed, they're transparent. Folks can look at them and just clearly know how that money is being spent. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next agenda item is the superintendent's report. Tonight, we have Dana Morrell, who's sitting in for Lori, who's not well, who's going to be providing the report for the superintendent.
Thank you. So I have two things to report on tonight for the opening of schools. Overall, it was a smooth opening. Buildings were in great shape and ready for students last Tuesday. Teachers were prepared and welcoming. We were all happy to get back into the rhythm of a new school year. I have employee updates. As you know, there have been lots of activity in regards to our employee updates. You have the complete update in your packet for review. Would you like me to list the staff? Do I need to list the staff?
You
for that?
don't.
Okay. So yes, so you have an updated employment update in your packet. We still have several positions to fill in the district. Currently, we're looking for hiring for a Spanish teacher at the high school, paraprofessionals throughout the district, a custodial position, as well as an assistant principal of teaching and learning for the middle and high school.
Can you talk to us a little bit about, since we're on the hiring, how many teachers have been hired without an appropriate certification or just as an emergency cert? And could you direct that specifically where levels they're at?
Sure. So we currently have an emergency certification for a high school special education teacher.
Okay.
So we've applied for that. We also have a potential Spanish teacher that Mr. Hassel interviewed and who would need an emergency certification as well. And believe that's it. We're doing all right.
There's just two.
Just
Okay.
two at this time.
I don't want to
Mhm.
say just. I'm
Right.
not
We have a
crazy
couple
about
that
an
are-
emergency certification.
We have a couple that are
especially for
waiting.
special
They're
education.
waiting for certifications from
Oh, they're just
from
not, they
RIDE. They
haven't
just
been
haven't received
completely-
them yet, but we
Oh,
have two
okay.
emergency certification applications going
That
in.
makes me feel better. Thank you.
Mhm.
How was the opening of school?
I think it was very smooth. I'm in my office is in the high school, middle school now. So I was
Oh,
able to see
fantastic.
hundreds of children. I was the bigger kids walking around, and then I
Mhm.
visited some of the elementary schools as well.
Okay,
Mhm.
fantastic.
Good start.
Dina, where are we with the filling the position for the assistant principal at the middle school, high school?
So we posted the position on School Spring, and Mr. Hassel, Mr. McNeil, and myself reviewed the applications. The two principals of the middle school and high school brought a team together of teachers And we held interviews yesterday. And we hope to have a name that we'd like to suggest to the superintendent. That's where we
Oh,
are.
Good. And I noticed also under the superintendent's remarks is an update on Manning Field. And from what I understand, the extra 2 weeks that we got from Tasca has helped
Mhm.
and that the field is in pretty good, shape. In addition, and I think they've started to put the equipment out and playing on it. I want to thank Jay for the work that you've done and as well as we have a new groundskeeper from what I understand, Jay. I heard he's so knowledgeable about fields and hopefully we can get our arms around these issues, that have been plaguing us, especially with our natural turf. Speaking about the 800-pound gorilla and never getting our arms around it, or hopefully we will one day. On Cato, I also understand that we're still waiting for a new mediation date, and that's the only update that I have on that. But do you have to add anything to that, to your report on that?
I have nothing to report on that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else? Okay, thank you, Dana. The Director of Administration and Finance report, Stephanie, if you could give us an update, I'm hoping that the audit is also part of this report and just give us an update on how that's going.
So we are actually meeting with the auditors tomorrow. We've provided everything that they have asked. We do have some new requests, which we will be working on. Oh, sorry. We do have a few new requests that we're going to dive into a little deeper tomorrow, and we will surely provide those as speedily as we can.
Can you give me an update too in the committee on where we are with the building budgets, as well as Tyler? I mean, I know that's kind of all linked together because we're trying to get Tyler to accommodate our building principals and so they can support the programs within their buildings. Could you give us an update? And at some point, we'll be able to see, could you bring those building budgets and have the principals come to the school committee and talk to us about them?
Sure. I have met with two principals so far, and we've kind of worked together to understand Tyler a little better. I'm laughing because Mr. Hassel's in the audience to get the budgets where they wanted it. So that's also a process in Tyler where we have to format it a certain way and allow it to be allocated a certain way so that it appeases what they want and also appeases what I want so we can track it. So we're working together and we do have some appointments coming up with other principals to get that in motion. So I'm kind of working with everyone's schedule and also my schedule with the auditor so that.
How is the implementation of Tyler going? Is it?
Excellent. Everything's in for this year and everything's in for last year.
Wow.
So
That's amazing. That's yeoman's work.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And the last thing is, my favorite topic is budget to actual. So we have another 6 weeks before, actually, I'm so sorry. We don't. We have 2 weeks before the end of the second quarter of our fiscal year. And I was wondering, maybe we won't have all the data in for the October meeting, but for the November meeting, can we have a very detailed budget to actual
yes,
on our budget on where we stand now that we're halfway through the year?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other updates?
This is just a quick one, just to show where we're at as of August 31st. Obviously, our total budget stayed the same. You can go to the next slide. But I just wanted to touch on how much we're spending in each area. And also we used about 34% of the budget as of August 31st. So just a quick little update, but you can see the breakdown in
Right.
each area, how
And
much we've
that's a
been
little
expending.
skewed because the summer is in there.
Yes.
So it should be lower because we had a
Mhm.
quarter that, or a couple of months in it that didn't have a lot.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask,
Sure.
Stephanie, while I've got you? I see the expenditures. Did you have a slide that also showed revenue?
Yep, next slide.
Okay, yep, I thought, could you please speak to, our budget is the 24 million plus over there. How we receive the monies over the course of the year? So, from the town, we're approved for a certain amount. When are those monies distributed? How does that all work?
It's different in most cases. Some it's quarterly, some it's monthly, some it's all at once. So I could give you a little more detail on that next time if you'd like, with a breakdown of each one and how we get it.
I think I'm just looking for a general, kind of just a general idea. So you're speaking to like state aid, grant monies. We get like the allocation from the town when the taxes get collected and then they're able to distribute to us. That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Example, the state aid gives you a little bit more upfront payment.
Right. And
So
others
to
it's
to
quarterly.
cover teacher salaries, summer salaries and
Mhm.
things like that.
But the bulk of our revenue is from the town.
Right. And it's,
And do we receive that on a quarterly basis?
Nope,
It's
that's available.
reimburse-
Yeah,
is it
that's
reimbursement. or-
available
Yeah.
as needed.
Whenever we need it,
Yeah.
it's re-
Gotcha.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay,
Okay,
thank you.
anything else?
That's all I have.
Thanks,
Okay.
Steph.
When we do the budget to actuals,
Mhm.
can we put it in the chart where we have our budget, what we spent to date and the percentage of,
Sure.
variance and then percent-
Encumbered, isn't that usually what's in there? What's,
yeah,
like-
like, or projected what we're gonna spend.
this
so
was
that
pretty
we
what you
know.
did, but like when you do the half year like that, this is actual form.
Yeah.
Right, that you probably
Exactly.
look at every day,
Mhm.
right?
Right. So the next agenda item is the building committee update. I know our chair is here tonight. I don't know whether or not Ray, you'd like to come up and just give us an update on the status of our building committee. I know that we're in the throes of our second ride application. So, and then maybe also in the October meeting, Jay, you can come and give us an update on all of the projects and where they stand. Okay. Go ahead, Raymond.
Sure. So since we reported last in August, you'll remember that we took a pause and stepped back because we wanted to make sure that we were approaching this in the thoughtful manner as we've committed to. In doing so, Kyle needed to meet and do some work. And I think a few days ago, Kyle, the director of facilities, the director of administration, and the superintendent met with Mario. So they now have accomplished what I think needed to be accomplished before we could schedule a meeting. So on or about the 20th is when the next building committee meeting will occur. And as always, there's an open invitation for whomever wants to come and participate. So
And we're expecting another assessment required by RIDE on what we need to do.
right, that's what Kyle and his firm needed to do, is to do their educational assessment so that we can include that analysis in our plan. And it will also help inform us as to what the priorities should be. Obviously, it has to be it's a prospective analysis, and to a certain extent, we have to look into a crystal ball and kind of gauge as to where we think education is going, because we want to actually obviously build or advocate for improvements where education is going, and not be repairing things that are past their prime or is not where the technology or the delivery of our educational materials are going. So
I understand that this is kind of like the second round of planning for programs. And I know the first round, it included students, parents, and teachers. I feel like it's not going to be comprehensive if we don't get those stakeholders at the table.
Right.
So I don't know whether or not, when we get the update on the 20th, if we can find out when they're going to be pulled in.
Sure. And I would imagine that part of that conversation when we meet will be what focus groups or what additional on the ground intelligence needs to be gathered in order for us to make a more comprehensive plan. There are certain elements of it, as you'll remember from the last plan, that will have to be integrated. Obviously, things like roofs and health and safety issues that we didn't include in this interim capital plan are going to have to be addressed at some point in this 5-year plan that we're drafting.
Okay,
So.
thank you. Does anybody else have any questions regarding the building committee? Okay, and the $750,000 bond is in place, right, Jay? And we're starting to make the repairs associated with that. Okay,
Right, I remember that was addressed at the last meeting where the director was going to indicate what items were going to be covered.
at the
under
last
that-
building committee?
Correct,
Okay.
so that they could communicate that to bond council.
Well, we maybe can get that on the agenda for the building committee and then report out again
Mhm.
at the next school committee meeting. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Um, I want to move to the fire inspection reports. I don't know if there's anybody here that can speak to it. Jay, maybe you can come up, but I do want to say I am so happy when I read those reports.
I was afraid.
I
to read
didn't
the
even
report.
want to open them. And every single thing was in compliance. It's like,
Never happened.
it's never happened. And so Jay, please tell us what's going on and thank you.
But we've only received them for 2 of the schools.
Yeah,
Just two of
so
the
we only
schools right
have
now.
reports back from
We
uh,
haven't gotten,
Marshall Chevalier did his, so it's
Yeah.
Hope and Clayville.
John sent his back though and
The other-
Hope and,
The other have been inspected. We just haven't received their reports back. Is that correct?
Correct. And actually North Situate, the way that I'm doing it with them, as I actually do the inspections with them, and as we find things.
is
kinda
Carl is the one that is the fire inspector for those other buildings, correct?
So a lot of the things at North Situate have already been corrected as well.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, so were there any questions during the inspections and do we have to spend any additional funds to come into compliance?
Not as of right now.
How did you do this?
I don't know.
That's great. So congratulations and keep up the good work, Jay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next agenda item is public comment and questions. If anybody would like to come up to the microphone, please do and state your name and your address. Hi, Maura.
Maureen Kennedy, 10 North Doctors Lane, Hope. At the June school committee meeting, I shared the hazards and negative experiences our teachers have been exposed to by the Situate School Department. I shared the health and safety concerns in addition to issues with transparency, fairness, and respect. 3 months later, we're still here with no change. I'm here to share some data with you that maybe you don't know about our schools. Hopefully, you're going to hear this information and come to the conclusion that things must change. What's happening now is not sustainable and will eventually destroy our district. So here are the statistics for the employee turnover in the last year. Some of these were before our June presentation, but there have been many more since. This has been unprecedented. We've never had this type of employee turnover. So here are the numbers as of September 1st, when we were going to school. 29 teaching positions were vacated, which is about 21% of all of the teaching positions. 23 of those teachers left our district to work in another district. 21 paraprofessionals resigned, which is about 64% of our paraprofessionals. And there've been more resignations since school began. About 10% of our custodians have resigned due to displeasure with our district administration and due to stress about work conditions. 5 administrators have resigned, which is 83% of all building administrators. 4 of them left to go to do the same job in another district. And currently, we still have a vacancy for a building administrator. Additionally, I just want to correct something that was said earlier. There are, in addition to the openings that Dana told you about, we still have a middle school art position open. And we have 2 more people who are emergency certified. One is a nurse at Hope and one is the art teacher at Hope. So we do have more people in that position. The superintendent's office staff, which includes finance director, human resources, payroll clerk, building and grounds directors. 75% of those people have resigned to go to another district. And I can't tell you how many positions are filled because the turnover has gone so fast. The postings come up and down quickly. The rotating staff is creating an environment of errors, lack of understanding, and great stress. It's also creating a learning environment that the parents and students in our district, they didn't sign up for this. It is an unsustainable environment of overwork, lack of respect, and a decline in the quality of life for our teachers, paraprofessionals, custodians, and staff. We continue to have vacancies in our district. We continue to have classrooms without certified teachers. Some classes do have emergency certified people teaching them. These are professionals who have not yet taken any classes about education, student growth, and behavior. We have many paraprofessional vacancies, creating a situation where we're struggling to meet students' IEP accommodations. There was a quote in the Observer saying that we were ready to begin school this year. I heard somebody say that tonight. I'd say we are less ready than when we reopened the school in the fall of 2020. At that time, teachers pulled together with administration to reopen our schools. There was a collaboration and respect between the teachers and the district, and therefore we made it work. This year, we started school with vacant positions for teachers, paras, custodians. We don't have access to the budget, so many supplies have not even been ordered yet, never mind in the classroom. We have to fix this. We need to come together with respect, professionalism, and the willingness to listen. Ignoring us is not the answer. We're going to keep coming until we have a fair contract for our teachers.
I just want to add, you're talking about health and safety.
Excuse me?
You were talking about health and safety, Ms.
Yes.
Kennedy. Everything you spoke about was about positions, people leaving. Where is the health and safety of the students, the teachers? Is there,
Well, North Situate Library, the ceiling fell yesterday, and that's not safe for a librarian. So yes, we have open positions, and a big majority of people have left here. Happy people stay.
well,
How many people here are 10 plus years in Situate? Would you stand?
So Maureen, we're gonna ask that you address the committee.
I will, these people have been here 10 or more years.
Thank you.
When we enjoyed working for Situate, not many of us have changed. But listen to the amount of people up there that have changed. And it's getting worse. I don't understand why the teachers are not respected for our professionalism, our expertise, our
I
history.
I don't believe that. I mean,
I do, and so do many of your teachers. Thank
Well,
you.
Maureen? Maureen, can I just ask you to repeat one thing, please? Maureen, can I ask you one question based upon what you just stated?
And I was trying, you were going fast. I was trying to write everything down.
Okay.
I'm concerned right now, and obviously you're the union president for the Teachers Association. So you spoke specifically to certified teachers. So you stated that there were, I'm trying to find my notes, 29 teachers that left the district, and 23 of those teachers left this district to teach in other districts. Is that accurate?
No,
Okay, so that's why I'm asking for clarification.
I said 29 positions were vacated. When a position's vacated and you hire somebody, then another position gets vacated. It has to be posted. So if somebody within the district takes a position, now we don't have a teacher in that room, and the whole
So how
And-
hiring
many,
and- well,
process.
I just want to get this, I'm
So
sorry.
23, that was accurate. 23 of our teaching population.
23 teachers,
Correct.
certified teachers in Situate,
Correct.
left Situate.
And
to go-
nurses. Yes,
To go to teach in other districts.
correct. Did
And
you
the
want to know?
remaining- and the
wanna say,
remaining 6
Maureen,
were
it
retirement?
appears that.
Hello, I can't.
Well,
When you both talk.
It appears that it's just not in Situate.
Oh, I know that you're going to say it's a
There might
national
be an
teacher
issue, however,
shortage.
I just read in the paper, 242 teachers have left the city of Providence to go elsewhere. So it is this great concern for not just for Situate, but for the state of Rhode Island in regards to teachers. You know, and we want to make sure you're
Okay.
safe and
We have
Have a good
multiple
environment.
teachers who left here to go to Providence and a school nurse who left here to go to Providence. So I don't care what it's like everywhere else. I know what it's like here and it's not good.
Maureen? Would you mind giving that copy to our secretary just so we can have access to?
I can email it to you. I have notes on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Brian Sheehan. I live at 187 Darby Road. And maybe this is something that is going to come up during the audit that you were talking about earlier this evening. But there are some financial discrepancies apparently in the budget where we are rumored to have between 400,000 and $1 million that are unaccounted for. And as I understand it,
Excuse me, can you
Yeah.
tell me where you got that information?
a couple of different places.
Can you tell me where you got that information? Because that's a dangerous thing to be
I said
saying.
it's a rumor.
Okay, it's
Okay.
just a rumor. That's not true.
Okay, so
Thank you.
there's nothing
No.
nothing to that at all.
I would like to invite you to the audit meeting tomorrow. They're
Okay.
looking at every single penny.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Rest assured, we don't have anything like that happening in our district.
Hello, I'm Ellen Rasmussen, 77 Ben Brown Avenue. I'd like to speak about vacancies. It has been extremely important to fill vacancies, yet our district has continually failed to post vacancies in a timely manner. Several postings had errors and therefore had to be rescinded and then reposted. Now the school year has begun and some students do not have certified teachers in their classrooms. Some students have different subs or teachers covering every period. There are too many students in our districts missing instructional time every day. Vacancies cause an overloaded work schedule for all employees. Many teachers work from the start of the school day until the end with no breaks, except for the 20 to 25 minutes of lunch they have. The number of coverages is just too high. It is exhausting for the teachers and an unnecessary expense for the district. I know you're going to say that there is a national shortage of teachers and paraprofessionals, and that is true. However, an extremely high percentage of Situate employees have left to do the very same job in another district. People don't leave in droves if the working environment is a good one. We have to ask ourselves, what is the problem here in Situate? And more importantly, what is the solution? If you don't have a certified teacher in the classroom, how are our students receiving the education they deserve? How are we meeting the needs of our special education students if there are not enough paraprofessionals to meet the needs of this population? My question to you is, what is your plan to recruit and retain teachers and paraprofessionals?
Ellen, what do you think the problem is?
Oh, Carolyn.
Well, you said that. there's a
I've been here for
problem.
26 years. I've cried, I've begged, I've pleaded, I've talked with you on the golf course. It's no one's listening, no one's caring.
Is it a
We're
communi- but
telling
is
you.
is it a communication issue?
I
You
don't
feel like
think
you're
you
not
can-
being heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
You keep saying it's the first time I'm hearing it. We've never heard this before.
Well, the
Oh,
last
thank you
time
for
I was called a
telling.
liar, and we didn't even know, I did not know that you were here and not one
I don't,
person on
I
this
don't know,
committee.
I don't know what sort of message. I mean, if I could just scream it from the rooftops, I don't know. I mean, as a 53-year-old woman, as an alum of this school, for living here my entire life, I don't know what to do. We are crumbling. Literally, the ceiling is falling around us. Kids are leaving, teachers are leaving,
But
the
I'm
writing
asking you,
is on the wall.
what is the root of that? What, in your
Part of
opinion?
it is you guys aren't listening to us.
In what way? What have we not responded to? We've tried 6 years ago
6 years ago,
teachers had
things were
nothing.
better.
They
No,
had nothing.
yeah, but it's
You
not
had
about what
nothing.
we
We gave
have.
you tools. We're giving you technology. We're trying our best, but what is it that we're not hearing? And I'm
How
not
about-
trying to be facetious. I'm trying to understand.
How about meetings so we can have a contract?
We are. So let me just say a couple of words on that. So let me just say a couple of words on that.
Wasn't yesterday like the first time or the second time?
so
Aren't we,
I think
aren't we
Carol's-
supposed to meet in like March or April?
So what
and I
we,
think
what
this is
we're
And
gonna
all
do,
summer long?
there's been a lot of questions about that. And so the committee was going to put together a timeline
Is going
on
to.
every, yes,
No.
because well, we didn't realize that, until.
But didn't
yesterday or
realize
the-
it. I
or-
mean,
or
I'm
yeah,
sorry, but that's your job. I feel like as an educator, if I
But if
sat
you
up and talked to
understood the
parents,
work that's been
if I
going in.
told parents, I'm sorry, I didn't understand it, or, oh, tell me what's going wrong. It's your job to know what's happening.
It is, honestly, I want to interrupt here. Before negotiations started, you all came in a big group.
That's all
Before neg-
right.
Before negotiation basically started, I was on the Union Police Pension Board for 24 of 26 years.
Uh-huh.
I would have never done that because it would have sent the wrong message to the town in regards to the negotiations.
So can I
Here
just,
we
Wait,
are.
I
you-
need to
Here
respond
we
to
are
him.
again. You're in
Please
negotiations.
don't yell at me.
You're in negotiations.
We
again,
are.
And you're here.
Yes, because you
come-
still haven't helped us in any
you're-
way
can I
to
just-
fix the
So
issues.
you're
I
in-
would like to tell you something. We did
I
not
want to
come
call
here.
order here, please.
Okay,
Please,
please
Maureen.
call it when somebody's aggressive towards me too.
Can
Kevin,
can I
You
just,
say, I would like to finish, please. You say we came here before we started negotiation. That's untrue. Our letter to start negotiation came to you before November. We've been asking since November. Do you think it's fair that you left us holding off all summer, no reasoning? And then we're working through school without a new contract?
So,
That's deplorable.
No.
We are in the worst financial situation ever.
I think, I think the chair had stated, and Mr. Houston had just asked,
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
I just didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said, she asked the question of why haven't we come to the tables for negotiation?
Correct.
And I think it's very, very important that there is a conversation about that right now. Because obviously, I've never seen this many teachers at a school committee meeting. So obviously, there's a message that's getting out, or there's information that's getting out that this committee does not want to negotiate. And that's what I'm hearing. So, and I'm not part of the negotiation team.
true.
So I would like for this committee, those that are part of that committee, to relate to the members that are here, including yourself, what we have done about negotiations. And you're present, you're here to hear this entire thing, to have a dialogue about what we have done. A contract for our teachers is extremely important. And anyone who's sitting out there that thinks that we don't think that you deserve a contract, a fair contract, is wrong. So I think there needs to be some exchange of information. And I'm going to ask that we yield to the chair or whomever to talk about what that timeline has been, and then obviously hear back from you or from any other member of the negotiation team. Does that sound fair?
Yes, thank you.
so what I'd like to do is, because we've been hearing that there's been some concern about the length of time, there has been countless hours by the negotiating our team over the summer, reviewing the contract. More importantly, for years and years, the contract had incorrect statutes, was not aligned to RIDE regulations. It took time to get you an accurate contract. In addition to that, and then there was extensive meetings happening with Amanda from NEA to go over to go through that contract in August. And it took time to get us there.
I do
In
understand
addition to that, excuse me, Maureen.
Sure.
In addition to that, because of the instability of our economy, we did reach out to you in the spring and said, do you think it would be prudent for us just to roll the current contract over until the economy stabilizes, because we know the gas is back down to $3.21 a gallon. And then we can then really understand what people are dealing with, because we knew that it was going to go up, but we felt like it was going to come down. And that was rejected by the union, which you had your right to do, and I'm fine with that. Then we got that response in May, and then at least over 60 hours of school committee time has gone into this. They've looked at other districts. They've cleaned up the statutes. Again, they've aligned it. It was so outdated that it had to have a complete overhaul. And I thought when Amanda saw the work that was done with that in August, that she might have communicated that there was a lot of work done. Then, you know,
Can I respond to what you said already?
let me finish and then,
Okay, I
of
don't want to
course.
forget. I'll be here all night.
So, what?
That I don't want to forget what I wanted to say if you tell me something else.
Oh, boy, do I know what that's like. That's why I can't let you interrupt me. Oh, I already forgot it. No, I'm only kidding. But now that Amanda and John have met, they understand it. Now we can go. But I want to say one thing. There's rumors out there that we're asking for less money. We're asking for reductions in benefit. It's so far from the truth. That's not what this is about. It's about just coming up with a proposal that we can talk to you about, changes that are happening in other districts or practices that have been in districts for years that work better. We're not out to get anything but a great contract and a fair contract. And so I don't know what's being said. I do know that, yes, has taken some time, but we have a new attorney now. And he's looking at this contract and he's seeing things that had to be changed. I mean, John, do you want to give an example of one thing?
I would like to respond to that, please. I know what you're talking about, the laws. Now we're gonna have
Right.
Uh,
And now
and
that,
click,
and-
click,
and
click.
that's
That's
now-
nice.
And now
That's
that
great.
Amanda is back and school is
Mhm.
back in session, they wanted to meet twice a week. Now that we're ready, the proposal, the contract's ready, there was a request to let's go. Let's meet twice a week. Let's get this finalized with the understanding that your current contract is rolling over. It's not like you don't have a contract. You're under your current contract, but more importantly, any changes or any increases, they're all retroactive to July 1. Everything's going to be made back to July 1. So I can assure you, everyone's going to be made whole. It's just like, let's get this right. Let's get the contract you deserve. You guys we're in a community. When people get our contract, it was completely outdated. So please respond to that, Maureen.
Okay, the 60 hours that your team worked in the summer doesn't compare to the hours our team has worked since the first of the year. We should have been done by August. In August, John Anderson and Amanda Scott fixed things like a small T should be a big T. And, oh, here, instead of having the language, we can take the language out and just have a link to the actual law. Great. That took 8 months for us. And the other thing is, you're saying that there are rumors in town that it's less money. I'm not going to say what the proposal was, but I will tell you, for many of these people, it's more work hours and less pay. It is true. That's what the offer was to us. So I don't see how you think
It's a
that offer-
proposal. It's a proposal. And in good faith, let's
in
get
good
to the
faith,
table and
we shouldn't
discuss
have
the
to
proposal.
beg for our contract or to be healthy or to not be in an unsafe position. We're in a bad place. Waiting 8 months was unforgivable. That's crazy. We should be done. You've done negotiations with us before. We start in April. We work hard the whole time. We are done by August, not beginning. And to say that
but we
you didn't
started
know
in
we
April.
wanted to, and I said, I can't tell you how many emails in April. We were
Maureen,
talking about
we
this.
started
so.
in April. Quite honestly, I was on the negotiating team, and because of when we decided that, and it was decided that it wasn't something that the union wanted to do to roll over, we moved it to the.
Right. I will tell you.
You
yeah,
remember
can
that,
I want to
right?
respond to you about that.
But you remember
You
that.
offered us a rollover in June. That is
Yes.
true.
Yes.
And we declined it because
And
our
good-
administrators were already breaking the contract. Contract violations were happening more this year than any other year.
I believe we.
So that's why we needed to get started.
I believe we offered that either in April or the beginning of May, but I don't want to split hairs.
No,
Here's the
that's not
bottom
true.
line.
That is not true. And I will
From our
email it to you.
perspective, and I saw the initial, I'm the fulfilling the alternate for that committee. I saw your proposal. And you compare the two, you can see the number of extensive changes in one. And it did take a lot of work to get it there. And I thought, I understand you're upset. I understand you want a contract as soon as possible. Let's get to the table. Let's get there twice a week so we can finish it. But I mean, there has to be some appreciation for us trying to get the contract right as well.
No, sorry, because what you're saying is to get it right. Not everything was outdated. I would say what the whole thing that you want to make right should have taken less than a week. I was available all summer. We were available all April vacation. None of us has done anything waiting and waiting to get this done. And I mean, you can defend yourselves all you'd like. I know the truth. These people know the truth.
Okay,
Thank you.
I worry
Maureen,
about the
Maureen.
truth that they know.
Maureen,
I worry about the truth that they know.
I'd like to, I'd just like to respond to, so I'm listening. And I hear what you're saying. It's the us, the them, he said, she said. Some of the truth lies somewhere in the middle, I'm sure. And you can nod your head, you can do this. We can't go back. We need to move forward. So we can debate that. We can apologize. Maybe there was miscommunications. Maybe there were a host of things. We need a contract for our teachers. So if we keep going back to what coulda, shoulda, woulda happened, we're not going to move forward. We were advised tonight that our subcommittee is asking if you could meet as frequently as 2 times a week. We want this done. We want this done for you. We were informed as a school committee that the first available date that the other side, meaning your side, I hate it's the us and them, was available to meet was in October. So that's
not true.
what, then we need to.
I will forward you the emails. That is not true. You can't sit there and not tell the truth. Colleen,
me.
I would love you and I to come and look at my computer and I could show you all of it.
Excuse me,
I think that you would be,
Maureen, you're not going to put
understanding.
words in my mouth. What I said, and I'm speaking the truth, is that what I was told.
right,
If
I
that's
heard you, I'm
misinformation,
telling you that. I
So-
heard you say you were told that.
So
I
I
don't-
want to know, like,
I'm gonna send it to you. You'll know. I promise you.
Mary, can you please clarify? Mary and Eric are on the committee. Thank you, Mary.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Am I on? Okay. I will try my best. Not having a calendar in front of me. This is going to be a little bit ad hoc, so I apologize if dates are not precise. As Carolyn said, a rollover offer was given. It was not accepted, which is fine. Which then put us in a position to delve into the contract. Okay, I've been told March 9th was the first outreach by the STA to request meetings relative to getting together for negotiations. And I'll just back up. We then offered a rollover. It was not accepted. And we then began meeting our subcommittee to do a deep dive into the contract, focusing on some of the things that were outdated. We reviewed many contracts in what we refer to as similar districts, looking for best practices that might benefit our teachers and ultimately our students. We had a document that we completed and proposals were exchanged on or about July 29th. Again, I'm just going by memory. The lawyers, John and Amanda, my understanding is took those 2 proposals, met for over 7 hours, back and forth, seeing what things could be agreed to, which would streamline the process. And we then began looking to set dates. To be frank, I try to be honest, I think it's the best policy. I think there was a misunderstanding as to the availability of teachers in the summer. You know, people take vacations.
Can I?
No, no, well, I'm almost
I'll
done.
follow up with. that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know Erica reached out with 3 dates in September. At which point Amanda let us know that I believe it was Amanda that actually, you know, we're happy to meet sooner. So we cleared up that misunderstanding and did provide an additional date at the end of August. I know at last night's meeting, I was very clear when we were setting future meeting dates. And I said, I am very happy. Our team is very happy to meet twice a week. And we did, in one of the weeks in the next month, we did add a second date. So we are looking to.
May I
meet.
respond to you, please?
Sure.
Okay, so the first notification you got from us that we wanted to negotiate was on October 22nd. I believe it was May, you're saying April, doesn't matter. 4 or 5 months later, we were asked to have a rollover. Absolutely not. When the health and welfare and the working conditions and the environment that we are living through continues, we shouldn't have had to wait 5 months for that offer. And then we realized we need to fix the contract so it's in our benefit for health, safety, education, the curriculum. We have so much that we need to talk about. So you waited a long time. And one more thing. And then, yes, Erica did reach out to me saying, I heard the teachers wanted to meet after school starts. I can't believe anybody wouldn't have asked whoever told you that. Really?
I forwarded you the email of which I interpreted.
She
that
did say after, listen, the first paper offer that we were given was on July 29th.
But my point.
So I'll say
is,
July
I
29th.
forwarded you the information of which I got that impression from. and
Correct.
then when it became apparent that, no, we can meet sooner, here's more dates.
I
So-
understand. I understand.
So
what you're
I just
saying.
want to make sure that it is not thought that we are hesitant to meet. We're eager to meet and want to continue to meet. And Mary and I are all ears. We're trying really hard to listen during these meetings. We're taking copious notes. We're not resisting. We're trying to meet. And the proposals that we are bringing is just that. And I personally find it a good use of time to hear and learn from you. So if we are giving a proposal that we think is great and you're explaining to us why you don't think it is, we're learning from that.
It's negotiations.
I understand it's
So-
negotiations. I've done this many times. I
I'm
do
not
understand that.
saying- I'm not saying you don't understand negotiations. I'm not saying you don't understand it. I'm just explaining that we are available and eager to work forward and to work with.
I understand that.
But
And I'm
heard
happy
you
that that's
say-
starting, but
I heard
it's
you say,
very
Maureen,
late.
that you're not people don't want to hear you.
That's
And,
true.
and I think Mary and I
Right.
do want to listen.
So let me just say, it's not just about we all want to listen, but I
Can I
want to
just
just say a
interrupt for
couple
a
of
second?
things.
There are a lot of people here and I don't want you to keep focusing on me because
Well, I want to
you're
address
spin
some of your
doctors.
things. You're making some comments. and
I know
want to
because you're
address
spin
it.
doctors, so I'm trying to fix it and get the truth out.
The truth.
Spin doctors?
This is the second time
politicians?
you've insinuated that we lie. And
Didn't
I'm
say
sorry.
lie. Maybe you
Anybody
don't
knows me in my
understand.
life, I don't lie. Okay?
Maybe you
So-
don't understand. That's okay.
Well,
I never said you're a
that's different.
liar.
That is different.
I'm
then
trying to explain it to you. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
If you
I
don't
just-
understand, I'm
Thank
trying
you,
to explain
Maureen.
it to you. You're welcome.
Okay, I do want to address some of the issues that were proposed. It's true that every year when a contract is due, we do get a notification in the fall. And as Maureen expressed, we start the negotiations in the spring. In March 9th, we received to that end, we received a letter from Amanda trying to get us together to meet. It was at the next school committee meeting, we made a decision because of the turmoil in our economy that we were going to request and ask if you thought it was a good idea too, as well. Wait for things to calm down and ask for just 1 year rollover of that. Maureen, please. So that takes, when we talk about 8 months, that's what happened. And we typically start the process in March. When it came to us, we offered to go back. I'm going to have this next person speak. Thank you.
No,
Thank you, Maureen.
I
I'm
don't have the
just-
right to speak.
No, because I want to.
Are there any history
Like you
teachers
said, you
here?
want other people to come to the
I
microphone.
do, I
Thank
do.
you. So let me just say, and that's when the work began, is after we received the notice. We did a lot of work over the summer. I do want to address, there was a misunderstanding. There was an issue that was supposed to happen in the summer where they needed union representation. And an email came back saying that teachers are on vacation in the summer, and that and it happened at the building level, but it was sent up. Teachers are on vacation in the summer, and there would be no union representation until school started. I know
There was
that
no,
some
yeah,
people.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
I know, but I just want to let you know,
Mhm.
and it might be, it was just a misunderstanding on some or maybe many or not all, that also meant that you wanted to wait for negotiations to start too.
Okay.
So that's, I think, also played into it a little bit, but it wouldn't
Mhm.
have mattered anyway, because by the time John and Amanda got through with going through the changes and the two proposals side by side, we were getting ready to open school anyway, so it really didn't matter. But I did want to clarify that there was that email that did go out, and I think it was also interpreted that they
That
may
the
not be
teachers were not available?
Yeah.
Because
I
there was a
didn't know.
union issue this summer that none of the reps were available. The only one I'm aware of is somebody,
But
one
it
of the
was sent.
administrators, no, the administrators asked about a performance plan for a teacher that should have
Right.
been done last year. And I said, no. I said no because unbelievably, a teacher is going to be asked to come in over the summer so you can put them on a plan. So no.
And I don't
So
understand.
you
all the
know what would have
details, but they-
solved this a long time ago? One, an apology, an explanation. We're here so much later and you just want to debate it and spin it and make it sound nice
You're
and we're
looking
a
for an
great, but
apology?
that's what it is.
Okay.
So I'm going to apologize. I'm going to apologize.
Yeah, I
no,
apologize.
I
We're
will-
so sorry.
No, this is this, can I please speak for one moment? I am sorry. There has obviously been some miscommunication here. So my voice rose before and I apologize, Maureen. I got a little, my Irish got up a little bit when I thought I was given in for just speaking to this one thing, saying that I was told it was October 24th. You said that's a lie. I said, so I apologize for that. And I apologize that if the teachers in this audience, I will apologize for any form of miscommunication and I'll apologize to this committee if there was any form of miscommunication. I am so very sorry we are in the situation that we're in right now. I'll be the big person. I will apologize to everyone here, but most of all, I'm going to apologize to our students and our teachers. This is where the impact is. I am sorry that we are here. I am sorry. And we need to move forward. You're absolutely right. We can sit here and debate. He said, she said, this interpretation. I'm nodding, going yes to both of you. I understand everything. We need to move forward. So my question, which I didn't get an answer to, and I'm hoping we can have something. When is our next date for negotiation?
Thursday.
Okay, so I was given misinformation if someone was telling me the first time that they can offer to meet is October 24th, because next Thursday is not October 24th. So I apologize. I do. And I wish I was.
But I do want to follow up.
I
I don't think, let me just say one thing. I don't think anything that has happened was deliberate or was coming from a bad place. Maybe as Maureen said, we didn't understand it, but we're looking at it from our lens. And so it's good to hear the other side, but if we didn't get a couple of things right or some things right, it's, it wasn't done in a way to be malicious or not to do the right thing, because we're trying to get a good contract for you. And the second thing, and you came before and you were upset, and I said it then, I am a huge supporter of educators. We can't do it without it. We know that the only reason a kid is success is because of the person in front of the room. You're everything. You're everything. So please understand that we're trying our best. We're ready to get this contract going, but you are supported by this committee, every one of us.
Carolyn, can I say something?
Yeah.
There's many teachers out there that I know and some that I don't. My husband and I raised 4 children in this community, and so we were probably in the schools for 20 years. I don't know how else to tell you how much I care and will give my heart and soul for this contract. I want to listen, I want to learn, and if it takes a little bit longer for me to get things accomplished, then be patient with me. But I will do everything I can to hear and learn and try and accommodate your concerns. It bothers me to the point where I can't sleep to think that you think I don't care and that I'm trying to stop things and that I am trying to, for some reason, I don't want you to come away with, us versus them. I look at you, I'm a part of this community. I live right up the street. Even though I don't have any kids in the system anymore, I see the benefit of my children as a result of you. And thank you for that. I want to know how we can move forward. We're hearing things, you're hearing things. Can we just put it aside and get down to work and move forward and work together? I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to roll my sleeves up and do it.
I appreciate that, Erica. I appreciate that. And I am not saying one individual member has done something, but I have to say with all the talking that's going on in the meetings and us trying to explain how it works in schools is frustrating, because we've already waited 9 months for a contract, and our meetings are very, very long because we're meeting with people who don't understand what's already there and how we already operate. Schedules, a lot of people don't understand, day-to-day operations, because you're not in the building. I'm not judging you, saying anything about you as a person. I'm just saying you're not in the building. We're already into this 9 months, and we're spending an awful lot of time educating people about our contract, which should have happened 9 months ago. I do appreciate that you're trying now. I do. And Colleen, I really appreciate your apology. Thank you.
I've bit my tongue on a couple times, and I have to say this. I heard it once when you spoke in June, and I heard it again today, and I'm going to speak for myself and myself only. There's a lot of work we need to do together. I absolutely agree with that. The part that, and I think Kevin got a little excited, for lack of better words, earlier when you mentioned the word safety. So as far as I'm concerned, the health and safety of our students and our teachers are more important than anything. There is nothing that's more important. And with that being said, I don't think we need to wait for a union contract to keep our kids
Agreed.
and or teachers safe and healthy.
Agreed.
And I'm not, if there is something that is occurring that puts a student and I'm not saying there is, but when you talk about health and safety, those things need to be addressed immediately. That is not a contractual issue.
You're right.
I don't know.
It's not.
And there's a process. I'm not saying, I'm me. I have no power. This board collectively does, but there's a process for everything. And if there's a problem that's in the school, it goes to a principal. If there's beyond that, it goes to a superintendent, and then there's a place to come to us. But as far as I'm concerned, first and foremost, as a parent, second of all, as a taxpayer, third as all, as a member of this committee, health and safety is first, period. So I need to know, and I want every member of your union to know that a matter of health and safety does not rely upon, we do not need to wait on a contract negotiation.
I understand that.
Absolutely not.
Hello,
State your name and your address. please.
Kristen Pontarelli, 33 Night Hill Road. In June, it was brought to your attention that there were health and safety concerns that we wanted addressed. There's been no progress made. You continue to put your students, staff, and teachers at risk. This week, we had to request the department chair suite in the high school be closed until further notice, as it is unsafe area. Throughout our buildings, there are leaks, water damage, holes in walls, broken furniture, etc. It is a fact that many doors and door locks do not work. Our windows do not have protective one-way film over them. There are broken blinds on the windows. In some areas of our buildings, there is a problem with Wi-Fi and cell connections that should be addressed but have not. This puts all of the students and teachers that cannot call for help during an emergency at risk. Most disturbing is the lack of training on protocols to keep our children safe. We use outdated protocols while neighboring communities, including Ponegantsit, get trained to the newest protocols. We use an outdated protocol that puts us at risk. We continue to group students on the floor, putting them at risk. With Alice training, the training we have been requesting for several years, the updated protocol says to do the exact opposite, spread the kids around the room. It's frightening that teachers did not know this was what we should do in case of a school shooter. What is your plan for creating a healthy and safe environment for our teachers and students?
Ms. Pontarelli, you and I couldn't have aligned that better, I guess, right? Me getting up on my high safety and health, and then boom, there you are. So I'll be very honest, that is the first time I, as a member of this committee, have heard those exact concerns delineated. I've heard health and safety. So, but again, what you
It's
just.
the first time I've heard it as well.
What-
Could you get that list to us by email?
You said you sent it. Where did you send it?
Right.
sent it to Erica, Mary,
That list? That list? Oh, no, I'm asking for that
No.
list. I'm talking about that.
Okay, because we have a building committee and we have done yeoman's work on the facilities. They were neglected for years and years. Now, we have opportunity now to help get that remediated. That list has to get to us, a comprehensive list, send it to all the school committee as well as the superintendent, and we'll get it to Jay and to Ray, and we'll bring it up at our next building committee meeting.
I would also ask that you include your building principals on those lists as well.
Yes, please.
Because again, the first
Mhm.
point of contact, and
Right.
I don't want, we're not gonna go over all of who said what, who said this, we need to move forward. But obviously, you shouldn't have to come to a school committee to get those things addressed. But if we've been asking and that's not happening, we need to meet this head on collectively. So if whatever the list, and we're not promising anything, I can't say we can do X, Y, and Z, but I think it needs to be brought to the principals, to the superintendent, with us enclosed and obviously the director of facilities, and we need to look at this as a district.
I have a few more questions.
I would like to respond to Colleen. We have sent it to the principals, the superintendent, and some school committee members. I sent pictures just this week of why we shut down the department
Maureen,
chair
can-
suite. So I'm just trying to
Okay.
tell you that we
I
are
don't have a
trying
picture of
here.
that.
We're trying.
I did get that one email. Oh, don't go away. I have a, come on, come back.
Right.
So for the list that you have, aside from the department chair, suite, what is the protocol if you're a teacher and you see a situation and like a ceiling tile falls down? What do you do? Do you fill out a form? Do you say something in passing? Is there
So
something?
both, we usually have to tell our principal and then we go through the custodian.
Okay. And for the training, I didn't quite understand you about the training that you've been asking for years. What, could you explain that training a little bit more to me? The Alice training. I think that's what you're referring to.
The newest protocol. I don't know what Alice stands for, but I know that we have teachers who have husbands who are police officers
Yes.
who have trained teachers all over the state.
Yeah.
And
It's a different philosophy. Yes. And this district has adopted that policy, yet you are not being trained in it. Is that
No,
what I'm
that's-
hearing?
So I just want to, before we take too long, I want to just address that, I'm sorry, were you done?
No,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, I had asked her a question.
Oh,
Kristen, because she was the one that with the list.
Yes, the Pontiac training.
So,
we
so
referred
am I hearing that the district has taken on this policy, but you're not being trained in it?
No.
What did you say? I misunderstood.
Administrators. Sorry about that. We've asked administrators multiple times. I've been told, again, I don't know how accurate it is, that it's been brought to the superintendent. So
You've asked administrators what?
to give us Alice training.
Okay, thank you.
Because what we're doing is the exact opposite of what the new protocols say to do that are safer for everybody.
So are there teachers that are part of the school safety committee?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah.
I don't
Something,
know off
we'll
the top
look
of my head.
into this, two things. I will look into it, but more importantly, that list, please send it to me. Me and Colleen are the liaison for the building committee as well as the superintendent. And then we'll make sure that we address that. Before we leave the negotiations though, and as well as we move on, we support you. We want to help the health and safety issues. We can make progress in that area. We've been trying to work on that and we've done a lot of work on our facilities. We've got a lot more to do. I get it. But more importantly, I'm asking the negotiation teams to please come to the table with an open mind. There's no hidden agenda. We have ideas. Let's talk them out. Some of them are going to be accepted. Some of them are not going to be accepted, but we're never going to get to the end unless we all come with an open mind and try to come to the middle. And I know that that can happen. I know we did it before, Maureen, and I know that it can happen again. I'm sorry. Hello, Larry. Give me your name and your address.
I think we've covered most everything. I'm just gonna read through it for the sake of it.
Can you
Just
tell
nod
us
you-
your name and
nod you
address for us?
Sure. Larry Hall, 171 Trimtown Road. Thank you. So sooner or later in negotiations, wages come into the picture. In past contracts, fortunately for our little town of Situate, inflation and cost of living have remained ridiculously low. Unfortunately, in recent years, both have increased greatly. It is my hope that the wages offered our teachers and paraprofessionals will reflect the current times. Having taught and substituted in our school district, I've seen colleagues leave more often in the past few years. We're losing good teachers and paraprofessionals. Job security is one reason given as our enrollment seems to shrink each year. But pay and benefits seem to always come into the conversation as well. If we wish to offer excellent education, we need to attract and retain excellent educators. As you've already covered, we currently have children in classrooms without certified teachers and paraprofessionals. I hope and I believe this is a priority concern of yours in this negotiating time. And one more point, if you will, negotiate with these teachers in good faith. I love the conversation you're having right now. As a whole, they love teaching. They love our children and they are dedicated to their profession. Many of you work in the schools and have seen that. I have seen this care and concern firsthand year after year as I have taught and substituted in our middle and high school. These teachers are not professional negotiators. Scheduling negotiations, having negotiations go on into the year that way that will be affecting them. All of these loom over our heads. You have professional negotiators. We have professional negotiators. I say get rid of the professional negotiators on both sides. Sit down, small group, bring this to a close. Teachers need to be teaching our children without this dark cloud of having no new contract looming over them. Thank you.
Larry, yeah, thank you. We'll get there, Larry. Hi, can state your name and address?
Yeah, hi, Kathy Lee, 49 Settlers Way. I'll have to be honest with you, in 30 years of living in this town, I've never come to a school committee meeting, and this was definitely the one to be at because this is I mean, this has been quite the eye opener. I came tonight because I have a question. I had heard from a few people in the town that there was some behavior and I wanted to see if you can, in the schools. And it was about that whole national trend of kids coming in on all fours and pretending they were animals. So my question to you is, can you confirm or deny that that happened in the schools, one of the schools? They
I-
call them Furbies. They pretend they're
Yeah.
animals. It's
No, but-
happening nationally. I heard it happen in Connecticut. I heard it happen in Cranston. So I was upset because I had heard this happen recently.
I know that.
I
we
hear
have
laughing,
some
so I'm thinking
principals-
it did
yeah,
happen. So
Yeah, we
I-
had, I know the committee, I don't think anybody has heard of that. I know we have some building principals here. I don't know whether or not they've experienced that. But something like that would eventually come to the committee.
Oh,
And so we would address it at that point.
okay, so that's my next question. So it's a trend nationally, and as a taxpayer, it's off the wall. So what I want to know is, what is the protocol? I read the handbook of the student
Okay.
behavior. What are you going to do to be one step ahead of it so it doesn't happen again? And that's what I want to know.
Well, we're not sure that it happened, but if it
Right.
did, then we would, yeah, I don't know if there's teachers here. We're not in the building, but let me just tell you, if it happens, we will address it. We have a protocol. May have to amend our handbook, but we will address it.
We do have two administrators, building administrators.
Yeah, I
here
don't know if
tonight.
our principals are here, if
in
they've
general,
experienced
yeah.
any of this, Michael, or. Okay.
This has been obviously, we've heard it nationally, we've heard it
Yeah.
in Rhode Island. There was, I believe, North Kingston, there's been a lot in the news about this. Yes, that's what we're hearing out there. Nothing of this nature has been brought to our attention. I can't speak for the school committee, but I could speak for myself.
So is the superintendent here tonight?
She's not, she's home ill.
Okay, well, maybe ask her about it because I heard it went
Absolutely.
from a student to a teacher, to the principal, to a
Do you
superintendent.
know what school it was in?
I want to say high school.
No,
But
so
I'm not
The high
sure.
school administrator, again, there's a saying, what is it? Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see.
Right.
We have a high school administrator here shaking his head that that this didn't happen.
But just
I
reassure,
I want to be one step ahead of this. This is a national trend and it's not good for as a taxpayer and my value of my property. This is not the kind of thing I want to hear.
I understand.
And I came in with that small question, but now that I hear all this, we have bigger, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Well, thank you.
it's concerning as a taxpayer that this is happening. So I guess I'll be more aware of this and come to more meetings.
Thank you. We welcome everyone to our meeting. Thank you. The next person, come on up and state your name and address.
All right, my name is Charles Grover and I live in 943 Tunk Hill Road, Boston, Rhode Island. And I just want to talk about Cato Field and how it should be open sooner than more than later, because we have seniors who have been through a lot with the coaching staff and COVID. And all they do is talk about how they would love to have their last few games on Cato Field. And I just think that it should be open because I want to play on it. It's a beautiful field, and I know everybody who does a sport wants to play on it.
So as you know. So if health and. Do you guys want to say something before I respond? Sure. State your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Paul Zokos, 53 Countryside Lane, and I'm adding on to what Charlie said about how we all want to play on that field. I'd say it's one of the nicest field, if not the nicest field in Rhode Island. And it's a shame that we've had to not be able to use it. We've had to use Johnson's Field for 2 years now, maybe going on 3. And I just feel like that's a shame because of all the because we've been practicing on the practice field. And there's always been a couple injuries about people twisting their ankles and stuff because of the holes and stuff in the practice field. And I think there's less of a chance of that happening with the turf field coming back.
Thank you so much. Does anybody else want to say something that's different or just coming up there for support? So as you know, the field had significant sinkholes, 20 feet deep. And because health and safety is on the forefront of all of our minds, including our teachers, we can't get anyone to say that the field is safe to play on. And going into and twisting your ankle on a hole on a grass turf is different than going into and all of a sudden a 20-foot sinkhole stopping. So we have to get it fixed. We're doing everything in our power to get it fixed. And there's nothing more heartbreaking to realize that our students are being bused to other places to play ball. But we have to put your health and your safety first. And so we're going to do everything we can to expedite it. How many of you are seniors?
None of us. are.
Okay, how many of you are juniors? Are you all sophomores? We got a shot. We got a shot. But please remember, and you heard it tonight about health and safety. If we could, any remotely feel like we could put you on that field, we would, but we can't get anyone to say that it's safe to play on.
I'd like to
So-
say that I respect you for coming up and speaking to us.
Definitely.
It's not
We
always an
hear
easy
you.
thing to do.
We hear you.
So thank you for coming in.
And I just have one more question. I would like to know if you guys know what your plan would be to fix the field, if you would know what that is.
So I think, and let me jump on, try to say as much as I can without, so again, I want to reiterate what they said. I appreciate you guys being here and we get it. We get it. I'm the mother of three. I've had two boys go through the school. They've never got to step foot on this field. I have a daughter that's a junior that has yet to step foot on this field. I was part of the committee. I've been on this committee. I was part of the whole group of organization that helped get this bond passed because we had inadequate fields, not just for our athletes, but for all of our students at Situate. This field was built not just for athletics, it was built for every student and all of the taxpayers of Situate. And there is nobody that wants this field open more than this committee. I promise you that. And I know one of the things I will say, and it's very hard, we can't say a lot because it's in the courts. It's legal. The lawyers are dealing with this. And I know that sounds like an excuse to a lot of people, but my right hand, it's the truth. And someday we are going to be able to let everybody in this town know exactly what happened, why it happened, and how we're going to fix it. We can't do that right now. And that is one of the hardest things. And the people that are suffering the most are the students. And one of the things that I think the one thing we could do better that we haven't is getting what little information we have out to our students. You guys look at it every single day. And I want to be clear on that. I want to be clear. That does not fall to the building principals. That falls to this committee and to the superintendent. We are the only ones that are privy to all that information. So I apologize that we have not done, and we can't tell you guys a lot. I can't tell you how we're going to fix it. I can tell you we're working on fixing it, and we talk about it every single month, and we've been talking about it. It appears that we've done nothing for 2 years, right? Like you close it and you've done nothing. That is not the truth. We recently had a meeting with the town council behind closed doors so they could understand what's going on. And they kind of said the same thing to us. And we just talked about everything that we've done to get to the point where we are today, to make sure that field is safe. And I know it looks beautiful and it's going to be so tempting to want to be on it. And there's a lot of work. So I appreciate you guys coming here. And if this whole room filled up, I still couldn't open the field. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that you guys stepping forward, we hear you. We absolutely hear you.
I'd like to ask the young men a question. So bring up a good point. We've been putting information out. We report at meetings. We've got the engineering reports
Out on the town.
on the website. We put it out. But you know what? My guess is you guys are not looking at those places. Just call it a hunch.
You guys don't view the
on
town website each night before you go to bed?
Right, so what I'd like to ask you, because you make a really good request, how can we learn? How can we keep up with what's happening relative to Cato? What would be a way to communicate to the students that's gonna work? Not what the adults think, what the kids think.
I don't really know. I'm maybe like say some news about it over the morning announcements, or
Okay,
maybe like coming up to like going to the football locker room before practice and
oh,
tell 'em-
I can't do that.
Well, no, obviously not you. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
No, we got you, yeah.
But
Maybe
you all
like-
have
These are
it,
good-
you all
these are
have,
Great ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe, Mr. Hassel, I'm gonna ask a favor. Would you be able to follow up, please, with these young men? They've
I
got some
think it's
great
just a-
ideas.
they all have a Gmail account. I think we can just update them by
Us-
email.
We can get information through our school department. And again, we can't tell you a lot, but as things are progressing, maybe we can let, and
Mhm.
again, it's not just our athletes, it's all of our students.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
We need to do better with that. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
All
Good
right,
job.
thank you guys.
Okay, do we have any other public comment? Oh,
Is there a way to lower them? My name's Matthew Johnson. I'm in 8th grade and I live on 5 Pine Hill Road. I would just like to say that I haven't been able to play on Cato since 2019 because I play for the Tri-Town Titans. This is my last year playing since I'm in varsity now. I would just like to say that I would like to play on it in high school because when I played on it, I actually had a lot of fun on it. And I don't like, I say, cutting my leg on a rock that's on like a normal field. That's why like the turf can help it. So there aren't any rocks on there. The worst thing is the turf burn, but that's not as bad.
well, we thank you again. It's something we're trying to expedite. It is moving. I mean, it's not like we're not getting to, we're starting to see a glimmer of the light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to get the parties all together through mediation. And so we're hoping that we can at least get, my hope is to, in the next few months, I can't guarantee that, but we're hoping, we're moving it as fast as we can. And you're in the 8th grade, and God willing, maybe by the 9th grade or a little
Yeah,
bit
well-
thereafter. Yeah, we'll say, oh, I just got scolded. So anyway, just keep the faith and come to our school because we have a great school. We have great educators and it's a great place to come.
Did you
So-
say, was it Matthew?
Yeah.
Matthew, you represented the Tri-Town Titans quite well tonight. We thank you for speaking to us.
When the field is fixed and you go and play on it, I'm gonna come watch you.
Thank you, Matthew.
No,
Do you have anything else, Matthew?
no, that's it.
Thank you again. Okay.
Hello, my name is Charles Grover, Senior. I live on 943 Tunk Hill Road. I just had a quick question about the practice field. Beginning of the season, I was told that you guys were getting a field goal post, so at least they can practice that. We have a pretty good team this year. We would really like to be able to practice our field goals. We have no place to practice them down there. So I just didn't know if you,
Let us follow up with our superintendent and our facilities director, as well as Sal Gelsomino, who's our athletic director, and see what we can do to at least put the post up.
thank you, appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Thank you for all your help and with the kids.
Talking about, sir, are you talking about the, over here at this field or down at Manning Field?
I'm talking about this field where the kids practice currently. They said they were gonna throw something up there, so at least they could try.
Thank you.
No
It's
problem,
all
sir.
lined. It needs a post.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fantastic. See that? Okay. Hello.
Hi, Bianca Mancini, 665 Hope Furnace Road. Just looking for clarification, my first question. You mentioned mediation, and if I believe we were back at the meeting in June, and we had spoken about already entering mediation and then
Mhm.
having 60 days from that point where we would enter arbitration if mediation didn't work. So can you clarify exactly where we stand?
I'll have John follow up to that information that he provided to you at that meeting.
Okay.
We're required by our contracts with both the architect and with the contractor to pursue mediation first. We filed for mediation and arbitration simultaneously, but the mediation has to go first. We are trying to schedule dates this fall for the mediation to occur. A mediator has been appointed. It is Attorney John Bullman in Providence. The parties have all agreed to participate in the mediation. And we are working right now on trying to schedule as a date November 30th and December 12th. That requires having the architect and the architect's attorney, the school department's attorney, the contractor's attorney, and the engineering firm and the engineering firm's attorney physically present at the mediator. And we're hoping to do it on one of those 2 dates.
Okay, so I think the parents that were at that meeting, and I tried to look at the minutes while I was sitting here, but there are no minutes for the school committee meetings up posted after March, which is a problem. So I'll address that tomorrow with the town clerk. But okay, so there's no minutes posted past the March meeting.
We'll
and
look into that.
Okay, and
Patty, can you
I'd like to review them because I think at that point we understood that mediation was starting or had already started.
Okay,
So that
but
was
just
not
a
the
quick
case.
question, Patty, are
Yeah.
we posting the meetings on the town website or the school website? They have to go into both. And they're on the second, but they're not in with the town. Usually it's the agenda and the minutes are underneath it, or there's minutes there's a folder for minutes. Okay,
Thank you for bringing.
we'll look into that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I will be very clear. What I said in the spring was that we had filed for mediation and that at that point, we were waiting for a mediator to be appointed and for the mediation to be organized. That has happened over the summer. We have tried to come up with dates before November 30th and or December 12th. And unfortunately, we have not been able to get a date where all 4 lawyers and all 4 clients are able to physically attend. In addition to that, the insurance representatives of the contractor, the engineering firm, and the architectural firm are expected to participate remotely.
Okay, so just to confirm, there is a date set currently.
No, there
No.
is an attempt. There are emails that are going back and forth as recently as 11:39 today, where the attorneys have been asked to confirm their availability for certain dates. And the dates at the moment that are looking as the most likely are November 30th and December 12th. But the American Arbitration Association, which is conducting and responsible for holding the arbitration, has not confirmed that yet.
Are you able to share who the attorney is that we've hired, or is that not?
Yeah.
No, I can answer that the district has hired Jackson Parmenter of the firm Kelly Souza and Parmenter in Providence. In addition to that, I will be working with Mr. Parmenter.
Okay, so as far as updates, once you do enter that process, will it be something that will be on the school committee agenda monthly?
I think we've been reporting out information when we've had new information to report, as we're doing here tonight.
Okay, and will this information be shared with the public other than in this meeting that you just told me?
We'll share whatever we can.
I mean, I say this every time.
I know. you
One of the
do,
most
and
important things is communication
but
because
we-
you have a lot of people here tonight, but you have tenfold in this town that care about it.
No, I
So-
understand, but the thing is, we want to share it, but do we share it at the detriment of not getting every single thing we need to fix it? So we're trying to. put
Right,
that
I'm not
balance
asking
out
for
there.
anything more than what's been said in this meeting tonight to be put out there.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
all.
do it.
I
We'll do
think-
the best we can,
Bianca, you can
Bianca.
rest assured that as soon as, when appropriate, to release information.
Oh, I have no
I
doubt you
promise
will.
The information will release. I do want to follow up, and I have to go back to my own notes for that meeting. There was something that was stated, and I know we did not state we were in mediation at that point. I know they were going towards mediation. Something of 60 days was mentioned. Where in the law does something with 60 days, John? I'm not saying it was gonna,
Our agreement speaks of having mediation completed within 60 days, but we have not been able to do that because, again, this is involving 4 different parties.
So the
at
mediation
table.
would, the mediation itself would conclude within 60 days. One,
Correct.
okay, I'm just,
Correct. However,
yeah,
we
no,
want all 4 parties
Yes.
and their insurance companies
Yep.
in the room.
I certainly
together.
understand that. I was just.
That's understood. And no one is saying, I think
Oh, no, no,
we're trying to understand it as, as
Yeah, no,
parents on the outside. So I appreciate the clarification. My second point, my second question, does the school committee or school department have a policy on exit interviews for staff that have decided to leave the department?
No.
There should be.
We,
And
we don't have
okay.
a written policy, but that does not mean it's not a practice.
Right.
So as a parent who, obviously I know in the state, as Kevin said, there's been a lot of turnover. Obviously in this district, there's been a lot of turnover. I'm hesitant to sit here and listen to the rumor mill when there's a procedure that could happen that would kind of give us a bigger understanding of why people are actually leaving.
John, excuse me 1 second. Can you, from your knowledge, and I know that we've talked about exit interviews, from your knowledge, there aren't any that's happening across the state in any districts. Is that correct?
I know one district where it is optional at the request of the employee, not at the request of the school administration. So if an employee wants an interview on the way out, the employee can ask. for
So
the
it's not common practice,
But
but I think it's something that can be valuable. I've ran HR and I get it.
I think in this district specifically, we're a small district and there's been a lot of turnover. And I think instead of wondering why, I mean, in my opinion, I look at, obviously there's different factors. You have the age of people that are leaving. If they're young in their career, maybe they're looking for a different position. You have people being unhappy with whatever the situation is. I just think that to say, okay, we've had X amount of people leave, well, let's break that down. Why are they leaving? Are they leaving because they're unhappy with our administration? Are they leaving because they aren't being paid enough? I mean, what is the crux of it? And as a parent, I would just ask that you put some attention to that.
I
So
think
we can,
attention has been put to that. And I think, like I said, it may not be a policy, but that does not mean it's not practiced.
so
And
you
it's
have,
not like it's not welcomed. We had one of the employees leave, a very valued employee who wrote a very long letter to not only the administration, but to the school committee. And, the comments were welcomed, and it provided some insight. So it's not like you can't do it, or it's just not something that we have as a formal process,
okay.
but it's something we certainly can revisit.
I would just appreciate a little bit further look into it, just so we can understand. The thing is this, it takes 2 to tango, right? So obviously no one wants to ever hear that anyone's unhappy, but what I didn't hear tonight was a lot of talk about the kids. And I want to make sure that we also give the attention to the kids. The kids are an important part in all of this. The health and safety conversation concerns me. So obviously we want to know more about that. But, there is no one here, I think, that would disagree with me when they say that the feeling amongst everywhere is low morale. The kids feel it. Clearly the staff
And
feels
the
it.
parents, I've gotten a lot of complaints.
I
from
mean,
parents.
don't clap for me yet. I just want to say, it's everyone's responsibility in this district, regardless of whether or not you're unhappy, to make sure that the kids feel secure, happy, and educated when they come here. If you're not getting what you want, I appreciate that. But at the same time, my children are in the school. My children shouldn't feel that no one wants to be here to teach them. No one wants to see them after school at a game. No, that's the feeling that is being sent out right now.
I have to say that just my experience, I have never, maybe they're out there. I have never experienced anyone that has not been happy with the contract or particular culture that would take that out or not do their job in the classroom. I don't, because they come and they do.
And
their
I
job
hope
every
that's the
day.
case. I hope that's the case. I'm just, and again, I have no dog in this fight. My kids
No,
are
I
here.
understand.
I'm a huge supporter
We
of
have
everyone
to-
in this room. The conversations that are happening outside of this building throughout this community are dire,
I
are
understand.
dire.
I'm hearing it all. I'm not just hearing from the
I know you are.
educators.
I know.
I'm hearing a lot of unhappiness with parents.
Correct.
Obviously,
So
the focus for the students is the Cato Field, and I get that. But it's coming from all places. And I think, you know, as bad as COVID was, it opened a lot of eyes to parents. It certainly has impacted our educators. And so people have a different perspective on their workday and how we're going to move forward. And I think it's impacting our day-to-day life in the schools. So we're going to have to figure it out. And we want to come together as a community,
we have to.
an education
We have to.
community to figure it out.
And I think that this community shows more than anything when they pull together, things happen. I mean, I'm a big believer in that. So I just hope that everybody can kind of come together and remember what exactly is the purpose.
The goal.
Thank
Bia-
you.
Bianca, before you go, I
Yep.
want to go back to question number one, please. It's almost the same question I asked the young men, because I feel when someone asks for communication and, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, you know, well, we put it on the agenda. There's a link on either the high school or the district website, Cato update, but that's from our perspective. From your perspective, what are we missing? What's a way to get word out? I think there was a letter to the community through the town listserv. What are we missing in terms of being able to keep the community up to date?
So I think I did notice in one of the newsletters, I don't remember which one it was, but in one of the newsletters, whether it was last month or the month before, there was a blurb, you know, about what was said. I would think the newsletters that go out to all of the schools will reach
Okay.
the parents. Not all the parents are on the town listserv.
Right.
Not everybody uses social media. So in my opinion, the newsletters are what they look at to get information about their kids. So to me, that would be the place to put it. And again, it doesn't seem like it's much information to you.
No.
But
But-
it's something, you're connecting.
When, you know, when you see 20, 30 parents on Facebook putting their comments and opinions and rumors and
Right.
it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So, you know, people aren't going to be happy either way, but at least you can say you gave them the information that you have.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, like even the information that was provided tonight,
Correct.
we have potential dates. So
Correct.
it shows people that we're making.
And that's
progress.
enough.
Yeah,
That's
I
enough
get it.
sometimes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bianca.
Hi,
Your
Kathleen
name
Schmaling.
and address?
Kathleen Schmaling, 45 Colonial Road. I have two questions. My first question is, in the last 25 people that have left have left Situate, have any of them asked for an exit interview from any of you or from Lori?
The only one we heard from was one educator that sent us a very
I
point-
saw that email too. I
It
was
was
on.
wonderful.
It was great.
actually. Yeah.
But I'm saying, has
And
anyone?
it wasn't all roses.
No.
It wasn't. It was,
Has
some of it
anyone
was hard to read.
specifically asked the five of you or Lori for an exit interview?
I wouldn't know
No.
what exit interviews the superintendent have done with the
Okay,
employees. So
I just would like to
that
know
doesn't
Not to-
land-
if it
not
was
to my
request-
knowledge.
So I
if there was a
wouldn't-
request and if it was accepted or not.
So I would think that,
And maybe that's a private question you have with Lori.
no, but I think, just so you do know, we've had conversations
Mhm.
about having exit interviews. I think obviously we can't make anyone do an exit
No,
interview,
but if
right?
someone
And that's not the
offers-
whole point of, I think we've had discussions that people should be afforded those interviews.
Absolutely.
If, or actually not even afforded, but offered
Absolutely.
rather, right?
A lot
So,
of
and I don't
valuable
think-
information.
Yeah.
I don't know also, I mean, I feel like obviously everything's being pushed down to the building level. So I would imagine if there's any conversations about why teachers are leaving, when they give their notice to the principals of those buildings and the leaders of the buildings, I'm wondering if there's a dialogue going on. And
I'm equally
mean,
as
it might not
interested
be-
as
it might
for the
not be-
principal and the janitor. I want to know why they're both leaving.
Well, it might not be a formal exit interview, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something that's
I hope so.
transpiring between the two. And,
I
it-
hope
and
so.
maybe that's something that we can try to understand. I know that we've been tracking. We tried to put an early retirement
Mm-hmm.
program out there for a few years. So we knew that some of the people departing, it was just natural attrition.
Right.
But if we have people leaving our district for other districts.
Right.
What that.
Especially at the
you
same
know,
level.
Is there a reason for
Right.
that? Is, you know, what is it? You know,
Right.
is it more money? I mean, for somebody to leave a suburban district to go to an urban district, that begs the question as to like, why,
Yeah.
you know? But our populations is shrinking. We did yeoman's work to keep our autonomy where we don't have to
Mm-hmm.
regionalize. We want to keep us where we are,
Right.
but we can't destroy ourselves from within.
Right.
Let's get together.
And that's why I say the more
We all
conversations, the
admire
better.
one another. There's nobody up here that has any ill feelings.
No.
Let's just figure it out
Mhm.
and let's get this contract in place and address some of the health and safety issues that you have.
And then my second question is
Hold on,
actually,
Kathleen, before you leave that topic. I want you to know that I went back to all of my documents since I've been on the school committee. Because every single month, we get a list of who has resigned, who has retired. And I wished I could find it, but I can't right now. I wrote down all the names and the people and whether they retired or resigned. And a lot of people have retired.
yes,
There's been a large group of people have retired. And when I was going through the names, there's also other reasons that we are aware of, which, obviously we're not going to share.
no. but I
And
just like
and
for
I
you
know
to
I
know.
know you're not asking. But I just want to caution you to be careful when you look at numbers. It may not just be the full story.
Correct. I agree with that too.
Okay.
And then my second question is about negotiations and how many times can we postpone that? So there's 60 days after you actually meet, but do they have limits on how many times they can postpone?
As far as Cato Field?
Yes, sorry, yes.
Well, I think the biggest problem is now that we have 4 attorneys and we
Correct.
have 4 parties that have to be
Right.
represented.
And
so
nobody wants to
then-
pay their money.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many
Well, I
times
don't
can
know
they
about that,
postpone?
but so it's the scheduling. So John, I don't know. I think it's just a question of when in the room.
In the room
Yeah.
together, along with their insurance.
So there's no time frame. You can't say we have to do this within a year.
And again, the mediator is trying to schedule it as soon as
Right.
possible.
They're trying to move.
For example, we had thought we had a date lined up, frankly, in the next week.
Okay.
And it turns out that one lawyer has a trial.
Right, but how many times does each person get one veto, let's say?
No, it doesn't work it
Okay.
doesn't work that way with.
So there's
law-
unlimited
It
times
doesn't
this
work
can
that
be,
way with lawyers and trials. For
Okay.
example, if the judge says to me, I want you now.
right,
I have to get up and leave the Situate School Committee and go see the
Okay.
judge. And if it's a federal judge, I have to say to the state judge, I'm sorry, I have to leave you to go see the federal judge.
Right.
And so forth. So lawyers have multiple things. What makes this case more complicated is the fact that there are 4 moving parts.
right. But there's no limitation to how many times someone can postpone, was really my
And
question.
again, it's not a question of postponing, it's a question
Or
of
just
finding.
saying I'm not
finding a
available.
date
Right,
when all 4 lawyers and clients can be
Right.
there.
but they all have to be willing to do it.
All of the parties are willing to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Dina Lindy, 136 Gentry Way. So back to Cato again for a second. Just 2 quick things. So I think what Kathleen was trying to say, and I think this is what we're unclear of, like this could potentially go on for months and months and months if we can't get everyone scheduled together. Is that a possibility?
And the answer is, I anticipate that we will get everybody together. It's in the interest of lawyers and their clients to get everybody together.
Okay, so I think that's where the confusion is when it comes to what we're talking about communicating to the public. I think the majority of us, myself included, and I come to all these meetings and I speak to you guys at every meeting. I thought we were already in mediation. So that is, we are very confused out here as to
You're in
what's
the
going on.
process, but the process, you have to.
So
request-
you're not in
John,
the
we wanna-
process though, because you haven't even met once.
Mediation hasn't begun, but you have to
that-
file for
Right.
mediation.
Right.
The reality is this, and I've heard this from numerous attorneys, whether we like it or not. And this is,
we
because
have-
we're like, well, I kept saying, well, when? And the easy answer is, we can't tell you when, because we have to
Right.
get these parties joined.
Okay.
The reality is, and there were some litigators amongst us when they said this, is as painful as this process is, it is much quicker and more efficient than actual litigation. Am I correct in saying?
Yeah.
That could be,
Yeah,
that could be
because
10
you
years
you wanna go-
maybe. So again, I know it's,
Right
We
now,
don't
waiting
know.
period in Superior Court is.
Right.
4
And I
or
don't
5
doubt
years.
that you're all not trying to do the best you can to do this, but out in the world of us waiting for this field, we're like, it has been years. What is going on? So then my follow-up question to that is, have we been advised to not try to fix it while we're in mediation? Have we been advised of
We
that?
can't answer that question. Only thing I wanted to say is it's much more complicated than that. So I do
If
want
the
to
field-
reassure you, all the parents, and as well as anybody here tonight, I'm confident that we have the best legal minds on this. John Anderson has a deep experience in handling these types of things. We've hired a construction attorney. Are you guys laughing? So, oh, it's in the back there. Anyway, so, we could not be in a better place as far as representation. It's just like, we're getting there. We have dates lined up. Let's have the mediation and let's see if we can get through it.
And so once we start mediation, will you guys let us know this is our start date? We have started.
And let me first of all say that we have all met with the mediator once. And we have discussed.
John, in the microphone. please.
Sure, we have met with the mediator once.
Okay.
already. And.
See, we didn't know that.
Okay, and happy to say that now that we have all the lawyers and all the lawyers have met, let me qualify that. All the lawyers have met with the mediator, not the lawyers and their clients, but the lawyers have met with the mediator.
Okay, so what's the difference between the two?
The difference is at the end of the day, decisions are made by clients, not by lawyers.
So that doesn't actually begin the mediation process?
That's
that
what we
one-
were trying to say when we're trying to say that there's 4 parties. It's all the legal representation as well as the clients. So it's not just 4 schedules. It's.
I understand the
trying to
scheduling. It's not that. I just want to know what date did we start? Because you did say that you have 60 days until that start date.
The lawyers have all met with the mediator.
Did that start mediation?
We started mediation when we actually requested mediation through the American Arbitration Association.
Dina, what I'm hearing your question being, has the 60-day clock started? And
Right.
my understanding is no, it has not.
That's my question, Colleen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bingo. It has not?
And again, the parties have agreed, the 60-day clock has started,
Okay,
but we haven't had the mediation yet because we are trying to get all.
so it
the-
hasn't started.
Because we're trying to get all the parties and the
Do you
insurance
see why we're confused out here? Like,
Okay,
So
so
the
the,
60-day clock has started, but we are not.
Candidate-
But we don't
bound by
necessarily only have 60 days.
They are doing, you're not bound by that 60 days.
but you're not bound by the 60 days, so forget the 60 days.
yeah, forget the 60 days.
Forget the 60 days. Okay.
I think the intent, though, if I could, is that the judge, correct me if I'm wrong, John,
Mediator.
the mediator, thank you. The mediator knows that people can't intentionally elongate this, push it off because the intent is to do it quickly. And I think that is why they give you the 60 days. It's not like you can extend it. I'm going to exaggerate to make my point, 10 years.
Right.
So if it doesn't happen in 60 days, it doesn't go away. It's a parameter of trying to get this done. It's a goal.
It's a goal.
But
Okay.
it can be extended because of all the reasons that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting because that's not necessarily how it works in a lot of other businesses. And I think that's, you have a deadline, you have to meet your deadline. So, and this is not what's going on. And I think that's where we're feeling the disconnect from what the community feels, from what you guys are telling us, sort of. Do you see where the confusion is
Yes,
lying?
I think though, the last thing we want to do is get the mediator on the bad side of us. So we're trying to work with the mediator as he
I don't
tries
think I said
to
that.
get all the parties together.
Right.
Because although our contract says it needs to be resolved, if it can't be resolved, then we have to do the best we can after that to get all the parties in the same room. And
Okay.
that's what I was trying to explain about the schedule.
Okay, I think I'm just trying to explain, because you guys are asking, especially you, Mary, and I appreciate that very much. How can you get the communication out? It's not that you're not getting communication out. It just doesn't make any sense to us. Right? So you have to say, yes, it's 30 days or 60 days, or don't say that at all if that's not it, or arbitration or mediation has started, or if it hasn't, then don't say it has. So do you see what I mean? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Hi,
Hi, my
name and
is
address?
Kennedy Hale. I live on 111 Eagle Drive. You've already talked about Cato Field, so you probably don't want to hear about it, but I was on the middle school track team, and for practice we had to run like around the parking lots, and I just think it would be nice if we were able to like actually practice on the field or around it at least. And I think it's kind of hard to like, for example, for football games, it's kind of hard to like have Spartan pride on a field that's not our own, I guess.
I understand. Well, unfortunately, the track is compromised as well. So we can't do anything with the whole complex is shut down right now. And again, we get it. I get it. I wish we could just open it up. And I think the hardest thing is seeing how beautiful and how perfect it looks, but it's not so.
Thank you.
I just honestly, I just want to state the last sinkhole that we had on the field was 10 feet wide by 20 feet deep. That's what you're dealing with out there. It might look like a perfect condition. I've driven by it. I love to be out there walking. I'd rather see the kids out there playing. However, it becomes a very serious situation. God forbid, another one pops up and someone's on the field. It becomes life-threatening at that point. That's why it was finally shut down. We feel horrible about the situation, and we wish we could open it tomorrow, but it's very difficult.
We're working on it. Just hold on a little longer. Hi, could you state your name and address?
Hi, I'm Christy Haley. I live at 300 Bungay Road. Most of what I had to say has already been said 10 times over, so I won't do that. But I will say that I think as far as the communication goes, one of the things that I've seen countless things of why it's not safe. I understand that 100%. Sinkholes, we don't want kids on it. I get that, definitely. I also really very much understand that litigation takes forever. So I get what the part I don't understand, and I've never seen communicated, is why we can't work on it or do some sort of repairs at the same time as it's ongoing and then seek reimbursement after.
I think the issues with the field are extensive, and it prevents us from just mitigating it in the interim. So it's not something that can be fixed and mitigated here and there. And keep in mind, that was the first question that we asked the installers, the designers. Can you just tell us it's safe? Not one of them could step up. Not one of them would get behind the field. And so, we tried, and it's just, it's not in a place where we can, patch it up and go. It's extensive.
But even with it being extensive, isn't there things that could be done? I mean, even if it costs a lot of money now and we get reimbursed afterwards. I mean, I get that a 20-foot sinkhole isn't something that you can just fill in with a little bit of dirt and cover it, call it a day.
I don't think
But
it's fiscally we could do that. I think it's fiscally out of reach for us. And if we could, if it was just something like, we'll fix, 100, 200 there, but it's just not something we can do.
Okay, thank you.
It's out of our reach.
Thank you.
Hello, Lisa Theroux, 23 Night Hill Road. This is a different topic, which probably everyone's welcoming. I just wanted to share that I have some concerns regarding scheduling conflicts at the high school for elective music and art classes. I understand that with a small school, it's very challenging. And unfortunately, these conflicts also kind of come together with honor students as well as chorus and arts, which sometimes seems to be the same students having to choose. Also, CTE programs have had to include extra classes, from what I understand, extra electives required by the state that also take spots away from students being able to choose music or art. And that is directly affecting the numbers. And Situate has had such a long history of a wonderful music program that I myself had been able to be part of. So also another point is that students are able to maybe join for a year or two, but not be able to complete a 4-year career of music. My son being one who chose to do CTE in his senior year, 2 classes to make up. And he didn't do band, which he had been part of since 6th grade. And at graduation, he told me, you know, he had unfinished business because he had to make that choice. And my daughter's in that same situation now. She's chosen to move her history to senior year so she can continue to take chorus. And it's not an option for children that choose pathways to take music because it doesn't align with their schedules. So although the CTE programs are wonderful, I give kudos to all the work that Mr. Hassel has put into it. It's unfortunate that these students have to choose in their schedules because the arts is so important to them.
Okay, what I'll do is, I don't know, obviously it's not on the agenda tonight, but what I can do is I can put it on the October agenda if you'd like to come back, and we'll see if whether or not we can address that, the scheduling of those, of those arts and music, and how it's impacting the students.
Thank you,
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
So is it just for the art and music, is it just if you're doing CTE or if you are also doing pathways, if you're doing?
Well,
one
the
or the-
CTE is a pathway from, I don't know if I'm speaking on that. The pathways, I correlate with CTE. I don't know if that's correct or
Are they the
not.
same thing, Mr. Hassel? I thought that you have some different pathways plus CTEs. I didn't think that all CTEs were pathways or vice versa.
Well, I respect the.
Sorry.
So I respect Chairwoman Diaz's request to potentially put it in October, and I'll do that. I can certainly probably handle it at the building level as well. This is the first that this has come to me this year. So-
I'm just, it's a general,
And I'm
it's
not,
not a
I'm not blaming
specific.
Lisa,
No,
right?
no, it's just a general point that I wanted to
no,
bring to your attention.
I just, like you, I mean, my boys, my 2 children have gone through this system. Many of you have had them. They love the music program. So Mike, I appreciate that. Whether or not you handle at the building level, can you just loop us back
Sure.
to find out what happened? We just would like to know how it's being resolved or what the issue is.
Absolutely. And, you know, I was going through my emails tonight. I've got like 10 student emails. I pride myself in students being comfortable coming to me, coming to our guidance counselors, working it out, talking it through. So I also encourage that as well. And I will loop anybody in who wants to be part of that conversation.
I think just to close the issue with us so we understand it and how
Sure.
it's impacting students, that's fine. An email is
The
fine.
new graduation requirements are coming and
I saw.
we're going to have to all get creative.
Yeah.
I bet. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Do we have any other public comments? Okay. Hi.
Hello again. There is one more thing I have to bring up that I forgot about. I also play baseball and I played for the middle school team for the past 2 years. And I've been playing on Manning for I don't even know how long because my older brother has played on there and I've had to play up because they didn't have enough players. And I would just like to say that when it rains bad, the field floods up really bad. I do have a picture on my phone, but it's up there. And
Matthew, you have no idea how much we've been talking about those puddles.
yeah.
We got a plan for that. We're gonna fix it.
Yeah,
And
Ma-
we hired someone too, just to take care of, we repurposed a position and just to take care of that. So I think we're gonna be in good shape as far as that field goes.
Yeah, because I know people that have cut their legs just
Yeah.
sliding on the field. I almost have. In left field, I actually cleated myself
Yeah.
right over here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, but we're gonna work on fixing that.
All right, because since the field's dry, every time it rains, it absorbs too much water
Yeah.
and, or no, it can't absorb much water. So
We
it
have,
just starts
we
flooding.
actually hired a special company to come in and fix that problem to make sure that the health and safety of our students are there, so nobody gets those cuts or any bangs and bruises. So we're on top of that one. I
All
wish
right.
we could fix Cato as easy as we could fix that one.
I do have one more thing about that.
Okay.
Uh,
No
are they
more-
are they gonna add some lights on there too?
Are you talking about Cato?
Yeah.
Well, that has crossed my mind. That actually has crossed my mind, and we may have to talk to this town council about that. We'll see. We'll see. We got to get it fixed first, and maybe we'll see. Right now, it's our top priority is to get it back in back in play again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other public comment? We're going to move on to new business, which is the high school student handbook. Oh, high school and middle school, sorry. No, both. Both. Yeah, no.
Good evening, everyone. They are, just to be clear, they are two separate handbooks. But Mr. McNeil and I figured that we would, given how late it is and all the conversations, that we would just do it together here. So I'll speak to the high school handbook first. Last year, we were operating under our new model of principal, assistant principal of teaching and learning, and a dean of students. That was year one of that model. We let Mr. Soprano, our dean, kind of live in the handbook last year, and we asked him to take both the middle school and high school handbooks and just take notes as he experienced it, as he lived in it, take the notes, and then form a committee. So at the high school level, we were able to get 3 teachers who volunteered their time. We made a copy of the older handbook, and we asked them to just make comments. I think there were over 100 comments in there. Peter and I spent some time this summer going through those comments and looking to see what can be changed. It was a great exercise for both of us to really go line by line in that student handbook and really look at things that are outdated. Last year, I went through a few trainings with the ACLU of Rhode Island, and they talked specifically to building administrators around, what are student rights, things like pronouns. So we were able to kind of have that lens on the high school handbook as well. What I've done for you here, and kudos to Mr. Soprano, who really led this work for both middle school and high school. Anything that we're proposing to be new is in blue text, and anything that we're looking to remove is a strike through. What we found is that as the teachers commented in that committee, we pumped the brakes because a lot of this is tied up in policy. So for instance, we would love to work with and I know that we're backed up with policy updates, but looking at surrounding districts, looking across the country at plagiarism policies, our attendance policy. So a lot of this language is really just copied and pasted from there. So we weren't able to change some things that we wanted to. We will be looking at those policies and bringing them to the superintendent and the subcommittee to update those policies as well. I just want to give you a quick. Sure.
We would appreciate any feedback you have on what our existing policies are and any suggestions for new policies when that happens.
Sure. I'll use the plagiarism academic integrity one. Ours is really out of date. And we find teachers, administrators, and students are not in agreement with it. So
To those, like boots on the ground, have the best working knowledge of what makes the effective policy. So we love
absolutely.
that feedback.
And we'll do the research, we'll look at best practice, and we'll bring you hopefully a draft document to take a look at. That'd be great. Just to give you an example of one of the changes we made here. This is my 7th year in this position, and hats at the high school have always been something that have been a back and forth. Last teachers would come to me and say, kids are wearing hats. Some teachers allowed it, some teachers didn't. It was in the handbook that it's not allowed. I brought Officer Parenti into the conversation. I brought Superintendent Andres into it and said, is there any reason why we couldn't have hats? We all agreed that we potentially could. So I put a vote out to the faculty and I said, we're either all going to do this or we're not. And the faculty overwhelmingly voted that they would not mind if we allowed hats. So that is a change that we're posing in here, that high school students, not middle school students, can wear appropriate hats that don't cover their ears. We heard some feedback from the teachers that they wanted a little stronger language around cell phones at the high school. For years, when I first came in, we weren't one-to-one, so we were kind of balancing that. There's a lot of research out there that talks about appropriate use of cell phones. We had grade level assemblies on day one. One of the points I was making is that it wouldn't be appropriate because they were in an assembly to have their cell phone out. So we put a little stronger language in around cell phone usage in the classroom. Mary.
So I'm watching the screen and you're talking, I'm like, I'm getting lost. Well, go back to the hats, dress code. So I looked at the dress code. You know, classroom teacher, right? What, the 2-finger or the 2-inch strap rule and all of that stuff. I always felt it's, you know, if you can enforce it, maybe it shouldn't be there. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, and actually, I shared this document with a woman with the ACLU of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And I asked her specifically to look at our dress code. And she said there were some tweaks that we had in there, but the language was okay.
It was okay.
I hear what you're saying. And last year, I think we were so busy that we didn't enforce it in a lot of ways. So what I'd like to do is actually bring the kids on board and get us, so we had the teachers give feedback for this, but things like dress code specifically, I want our student council to look at. I want the
Great.
high school kids to come to the table and have an open discussion around
It
that.
seems like a small thing, but
Yep.
it is a bugaboo because if you don't have every teacher being consistent, it's one of those that'll bite you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know I was talking fast. There were minimal changes in here. I know that you had this in the packet ahead of time. Are there any questions before I hand it off to John for the middle school handbook? Any questions about the high school handbook?
Just one question, Mike, in
Sure.
regards to hat, a hoodie, sweatshirt. Are they allowed or not allowed?
So we kept to that, and really for that safety reason of if we have to look at cameras or we're not able to identify someone in the building, we felt that in talking with the police department and the superintendent that we could identify students if they're wearing a baseball hat, but not a hood. So students will not be allowed to wear a hood at the high school.
Thank you.
Mary?
This is meant in the most respectful way. You know, he's like, uh-oh. So I noticed in comparing the two documents, it seems like I'm gonna switch glasses. The middle school has changed a passing number. So when I look at the high school, an F is less than 60. A grade of E is in the range of 60 to 64. Passing is 65 or higher. I see that the middle school has sort of, it looks like they dropped their level of passing grade to align it. However, we're in this era of talking about rigor, of talking about high standards. We have, according to the kids count, Situate has a 93% graduation rate, but it also makes note that 18 or more days absent, which is chronic absenteeism, is at 23%. 1 out of 4 kids at the high school level. So, you know, is it Has there been discussion around raising that expectation? Because it says to me, the data says to me, we've got a great graduation rate, but you can do it. And 1 out of 4 kids is chronically absent and they can still graduate. It's a concern for me and
So
heartfelt concern.
Mike, can
I
click on
plan to
for
bring
one
that data to the school improvement team, and then I'm sure that it'll come up at the district strategic plan as well. Looking at the high school chronic absenteeism data, we worked hard to reduce that. When I first came in, it was in the 20s. We reduced that back in, I think, 2019 to maybe 9%. It was the lowest that it's
Wow.
been.
Okay.
Then COVID happened, and the data is all skewed.
So I
Okay.
just want to jump on to speak to her point, Mike, maybe you can remember as well. Pre-COVID, Superintendent Blanchett had started working diligently on district-wide, not just at the high school. So working on, and then COVID. So I think everything, and
Yeah.
we talked about reducing letter grades. I don't think anything ever got implemented. But that was a big discussion that I think belongs more in policy. That, I mean, what's in the handbook is just indicative what our policies are.
Yeah, and I agree, Colleen, and Mary, to your point, we've been talking for the past couple of years about a secondary grading policy, which we don't have. So looking at districts like Charahoe, Cumberland, these are districts who have pretty successful secondary grading policies that, to Colleen's point, we can look at and do that. But just the point of chronic absenteeism, I've advocated at RIDE to not use it for accountability over last year because we were encouraging our kids to stay out. If they had COVID, they were out. And districts really didn't get it together as far as that 1D coding, meaning they're still getting instruction because it was that live meet, but we were late to the game. So I would advocate that anything from the COVID pandemic, that data is pretty skewed.
All right, that's heard, But to go back to, that was a link that drew in my mind. But so I'm hearing you say that an F less than 60, those kinds of great, you're studying that, you're looking to maybe raise that standard of performance.
Yeah, so passing at Situate High School is a 65. A D is passing. Anything
Correct.
below a 65 is failing.
So okay. So this letter E, why not just call 64 or below an F?
Sure. That's one of those things that it's always been a Situate thing, an E, and people come here and like, why an E? So to your point, I think we need to get some people together and look at our grading policies.
I thought the E meant you could go to summer school.
It does. Yep. So students at the high school are eligible between 60 and 64. And then during the COVID years, because of the learning gaps, we did adjust that and we had kind of a temporary plan for that.
Okay. Michael, do you have an electronic grading book in the schools?
Yeah. Teachers use PowerSchool.
Okay, and they're using it, are they using it adequately and up to date and making sure the grades get posted?
Per their contract, they have 10 days to update PowerSchool.
John, how's it going?
Good. Great to see you all.
How do you like it?
I like it. I like it very much. Yeah, it's my issues over the last 2 weeks are my own issues from being green, but the faculty, the staff, the kids, everyone's been great and very supportive and helpful. So our middle school handbook, for the most part, was worked on pretty diligently, like Mike had said, by Pete and our former assistant principal. I, just like Mike, I was afraid to dig too deep and change too many things or propose too many changes, not knowing if they were tied to specific policies. Some things from my reading did look so antiquated that I felt comfortable taking them out. I only changed 3 major things outside of new staff and what we offer for Unified Arts, but the big things that I took the liberty of changing, and I hope it's okay, is the fines for nicotine. It wasn't a lawful thing that we should have in there for a student to pay a $50, $100 or $200 fine, and all the out of school suspension criteria. Anything that violated the 16.2 Rhode Island state law, I took out. The first thing that we had as a qualifier for an out of school suspension was truancy, which is the first thing that you see when you look at the laws. You can't suspend a student for truancy. Also, it doesn't make any logical sense to suspend them outside of school. The other thing is because I think we are a little bit tied to the Situate Police Department to enforce some truancy laws. I added the actual truancy statute to the handbook as well, just so parents can see that. It's an extra layer of support for us, knowing that we don't have an assigned truancy officer at this time.
John, if you had the ability to make any change, do you see other things that you thought really could benefit us, but you didn't want to go there yet?
Yeah, so just speaking towards what we were talking about for a grading policy, we don't have a credit-based system in the middle school, so the grade itself for passing isn't as much as an importance to me as a growth model for middle school.
Is that something you would plan on implementing?
Yeah, but that would have to be in line with some sort of an actual policy that I could enforce. The other big thing for me, when you're talking about an average, and if you're going to put an average in a handbook, it really, from a middle school administrator's perspective, gets really skewed by the zero. So the use of a zero as a punishment sometimes can really throw off an average. You can have, and it actually frustrates me with MTSS and different qualifying meetings where I have to kind of disregard school grades altogether, because I'll look at their school grades and they have a 90, an 80, another 80, and then 3 zeros, so they're failing. But if I look at the data that I have, that wouldn't suggest that they need supports. But the 3 zeros that were given because they were absent or didn't do the work. So the grade itself that's in the policy doesn't, when the grading, I'm not 100% confident is an accurate grade because of that zero. And there's things that I would like to do to make it.
Do we have to wait another whole year for you to start implementing these changes and working with our policy committee and the superintendent of schools as well as Dana?
As far as a district policy, I don't know. That would be up to you guys. But as far as implementing
No.
in the school, I've already done that with the staff. I've asked them and they've agreed to not give zeros as a punishment. And that was one of the reasons why Dana and I worked and are continuing to work on an academic proficiency center, because the biggest complaint that you get from a teacher when you tell them not to give the kid a zero is, how are they going to do the work and how are we going to get them to do the work? So that the academic proficiency center is a way to get them to force them to do the work after school. They get assigned to it. So, but like I said, that's something that I could do and the teachers bought into for the school year.
Is this, I know I don't want to step too far above
Yeah.
or away from the handbook, but I think that any changes that you see that are critical for us to move the kids forward and to improve the culture of our teachers. I want to be sure that we don't, we really step on the pedal on it. I don't want to wait. I want you to-
understand.
I want
Yeah.
you to move.
I understand.
I have a few questions unless you're not finished.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I noticed, the first thing was, the competency, which was defined, used to be 65 or higher, it used to be 70 or higher, is now 65. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so in speaking with Mr. Soprano, that was this change that he suggested, and it was based on what he thought was and wasn't sure a district-wide initiative to make it aligned with what the high school is at.
So I guess it's the word competency that throws me.
Mhm.
And to Mary's point, we're talking about rigor. I was wondering if there's a philosophy or something that you've done in your past that's making you want to bring this change to Situate.
The grade change or the
competency is defined instead of 70 or higher is now 65 or higher. So it seems like the competency rate has been dropped. Or am I not understanding it correctly?
Yeah, that was not something, again, that wasn't something that I did arbitrarily. That was something that I was under the impression was an agreement or something that was already put in place prior to me coming in here. That change was made, that was stricken out and put in there prior to me being hired.
Yes. It's on page 9. That was my point a few minutes ago, and my only connection is I thought maybe middle school was trying to align with high school.
And that was that's how it was explained to me. That
It was.
and Mr. Soprano was under the impression that was agreed upon between the two schools. Not that it's not something that I could find as a policy or.
How many kids struggled to meet that 70 competency? Like, was it a problem? And I know maybe take COVID out of it, because as much to Mike's point, COVID skewed everything.
I would say that
And I know
again,
you've only been here like a month.
yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to disaggregate. I don't even have, I've been trying to be, there's a high school teacher that runs summer school to get that data as to what work was done, what work was completed, how many students were in summer school. So those are things I haven't gotten to yet. But I do plan on bringing them up. We just made changes to our MTSS team. And so when our first meeting, that's on my agenda for data to go through, but I'll go back again to the fact that, you know, whether it's a 65 or a 70, I do know, and I have recognized the fact that the teacher's philosophy and using a 0 does skew the grades regardless.
Are you done? Chris, can you go to page 7? I just want to make note, especially since Mary and I know the contracts extremely well. For department nights, if I have a student and if I have a child, and I did at one time, that needed both, let's say, math and reading help, both on the same night, and they went to math and they just needed to go to math for, let's say, 20 minutes and then wanted to jump to reading, if no other student for that reading teacher showed up within 20 minutes, they could go home unless the student made an appointment. Which, you know, I understand. As a parent, I would want to know that, and this is just something to think about. I would want to know that a teacher's only going to stay for 20 minutes and wait for you if no other student is there. If there's a way to get that information out to a parent, otherwise I'd be like, you know, why didn't you go to both? You know,
Yeah,
department nights?
and that's a great point, and a point that we brought up together as a staff when we were talking about department nights, because it did the schedule that I saw and the way I was trying to understand it didn't seem advantageous to that situation. Also, that you have to take into consideration team members being on at the same time, that could be hurtful as well. So that's why I thought it was important to put in there schedule is subject to change, because I'd like to change it to make it more beneficial. But I don't think that I think that there could be a better system where if a student does want to sign up for a department night, we can have an electronic shared form. The student can put that they want to go for both ELA and math, and that math teacher will know not to leave because that student's on that list.
Okay.
But ideally, I'd like them to not be on the same night at all. So we could have, you know, curriculum nights more defined, or there's a math night and then an ELA night, and then in there's 4 days we can do that.
Sure, anything to help a kid help themselves. I know you talked about policies, and how you know that they're antiquated and it needs a lot of work on our end.
A little bit, yeah.
But the one thing that alarmed me a little bit is, and I wish John was here, but I think it's okay, is the Title IX policy. We just rewrote the Title IX policy, and it is up to OCR code. I mean, OCR has accepted it. And the language here does not match our policy, and I'm just concerned because the district has been or may currently be in some issues with Title IX. And I am hypersensitive over exact language, for example, like even just
Yeah, please. Yeah, because I'm not, again, I'm coming
I'm
in
not-
here with
and I'm
that. Yeah, so
expecting you
yeah,
would not know this.
if there's a specific language, please let me know. I'll make sure
do
it's
that.
there.
'Cause especially when it relates to Title IX, because we buttoned it up tight. So should I just send you an email with that and I'll.
Yeah, if you could just send me the link, I'd rather have the links that
Well,
go
you've
directly
got-
to the
you've got our
policy.
It's in,
Yep.
it's on the website,
Yeah, so I can just add that link right in there.
and that one is completely up to date.
Mhm.
I noticed, and this is a small thing. Everywhere you say parent, you don't say guardian. It's just a small thing, but not
Mhm.
for those people who are guardians.
Say that again.
I said, oftentimes in the handbook, you'll say, you just reference parent, but you don't do like the
Parent and
slash
guardian. Yep.
It's not.
Or
something
even
you-
I would even thought about families as well.
Something in case, because we have a
Yep.
lot of students here without.
Nope, that is a big thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure the he, she is gonna come like next year. I know you just got here, so we can clean up the he, she thing later. Give me a moment. Do you know if the middle school does do the mandatory meeting for athletes? As
No,
policy says?
it was talked about, I went to an athletics, chair meeting, the new athletics folks, and they had mentioned it, not being a requirement, and, both myself and Sal said that we thought that it would be a good idea going forward to have that, especially with the state of some things that have happened in the state of Rhode Island. So at this time, no, but it's something that,
That's on your radar?
yeah.
To that point, again, being new, and I'm almost done. I noticed that, with the smoking and vaping violations and or the drinking, all the substance use. We have a coalition in Situate called
Mhm.
Situate Prevention Partnership, and they do a lot with our schools. I'm not sure if you.
I've been in touch. Yeah, I've been in touch with them, and I worked with them in both Cumberland and Lincoln. Actually, the head lives in Lincoln, so I
I'm
had her
really,
children.
really glad to hear that because
Yeah.
I know that they can provide a lot of support for you.
Yep, hidden in plain sight. They've done a lot of amazing things that I learned a lot from. So
And what I really liked about this is, the referrals. And you mentioned, for example, smoking and vaping. And it has referrals to a school counselor or the SRO, which I am a strong proponent of restorative as opposed to punitive. But I did notice I don't think it references referrals when it comes to drinking. I just want to put that on your radar again, only because I'm such an advocate for restorative.
Yep.
When it comes to substance use.
and it should be consistent. Yeah.
I don't think, I'm not sure if he can hear you. No, on your microphone.
Says substance abuse and / alcohol.
Right. Like the first offense does not have a referral attached to it when it talks to substance abuse / alcohol, but it does with smoking and vaping. And I think it's important to just do restorative with these kids who obviously they need help.
That it?
Pushing me. Hold on.
No, I want to just go back to what Mary said. So let me know when you're done. Take your
Okay.
time.
You did talk about a truant officer, but we don't actually have one, do we?
We don't.
I wished we did. I would like to have one.
We don't have I know the intake officer from dealing with him in Lincoln, and I spoke with him at the bequest of the Situate Police Department. They feel uncomfortable. The police department mentioned to me, and so does the court, with the police handling truancy issues, because they have to open up an arrest record every time they do that. And what I know is you don't actually have to hire a truancy officer, although it is very helpful in bringing attendance up in certain situations and getting different supports for kids and families. You just have to assign one person in the district to be that officer.
Correct.
But at this time, I'm not aware of anybody that's assigned that position.
So I think I'm good. If you have any questions about the Title IX, just let me know.
Thank you.
Otherwise, it's on the website. Just be good to
Yeah.
clear that up, only because the district has been or may still be in some conflict with that policy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn.
No, thank you. I just want to go back to what Mary and I think Colleen broached the subject on lowering the scores around the 65. How does that resolve? Are we going to revert it back, or are you going to stick with it, or?
So I really don't have, I do think traditionally it should be a 70. That's what to keep it.
You agree that it should go back, Mary, to 70, or?
Well, do
I'm
we-
sorry, I
No.
thought Mary didn't, but Erica brought that up as well, and I.
right, but the question being, I'm very mindful, I try to be mindful about staying in my proverbial lane. And I'm not sure if that is the purview of the building administrator and the staff. I brought it up because for me, as a longtime educator, it's a concern.
For me too.
Yeah,
I think maybe, and again, we know you stepped into this in motion, finding out the work that was done behind this. Again, I get it, aligning with if it's going to, Mike, do you have any idea? I know it's not was there ever a conversation of wanting to align middle school with high school?
I just don't know the rationale as to
That's-
why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And one other point I want to make, Mike, just a second. Is it making kids feel better so they don't go to other places and other school districts? Does
Don't
it-
say that.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yeah. So
I'm
The-
losing my
just
filter,
asking.
losing my filter.
the explanation that I was given was
Well, I
to-
just don't
to-
understand the motive behind it.
well, the explanation that was given to me was to align it with what their practices are. But again, for me, it's more important that the grades have more efficacy and that there are actual, data points that are accurate than 70 out for me it is more rigorous and it does present as more traditional. But my number one focus when it would come to grades and when it comes to kids being able to have that rigor and the accuracy of the grade is more important to me. So if the rigor is there, I also want that grading.
Yeah, I think
to-
with
to be
Erica,
accurate.
and, bringing that up, and then Mary and everyone else expressing some concern about it, I do appreciate, Mary, your lane issue. And I agree, we do need to stay in our lane, but at the end of the day, we're just looking for results. And
Yeah.
Yep.
so, and that's when we'll hold
Yeah.
our, the superintendent accountable.
and I think the 70 with, as you spoke to, a more robust MTSS within the middle school. We've got the teacher after school department nights. As long as you've got the mechanisms in place to lift those kids up who may be falling below the 70 becomes a reasonable mark, if you will. If there were no supports in place, maybe the 65. So I'm just to consider it.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not demanding. It's just, I think, something that needs thoughtful conversation. And you're absolutely right. The whole grading thing is, as a math teacher, you could work it.
Oh,
I'm serious.
I
You could-
I
I'll be
can
honest.
imagine like any math teacher or science teacher being frustrated with a grading system like this, where a zero where data is so important to
See, I wouldn't
decision
do, I
making.
wouldn't do a zero.
Yeah.
I'd intervene so it wouldn't be a zero.
It's not just the 0-2 that has the largest impact on a kid's grade when they when they don't do it, but also there's no limit to the percentage of a grade that a work completion assignment has. And because there's no grading policy. So
Well-
you could count homework as a completion grade
I
or
used to do that.
and Canada's 15 to 20% of their grade. That also skews the
Mhm.
data.
Yes, it does.
So those things are for me more important than like the 65 and the 70. I would prefer it to be a 70, but it does it right now, the way the grading policy works or the way the grading practices work.
Mm.
I mean, it can be skewed by those two things anyhow. So I'd
Yep,
like to.
And that's
to
something
fix
you're gonna work on, right?
those are
Joan?
things that we're working on presently. Yeah. Through conversation.
You know, it's funny. I mean, it was quite the meeting tonight. But, you know, we've had a lot of parents complaining about their children coming home with A's and A minuses and only to find out just before they're getting out to school that they learn nothing. How do we prevent that? I mean, we're talking about trying to tweak the grading.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, the complaints about from parents is prevalent. It's prevalent. You only heard one side of the story tonight. But
Yep.
it is what it is.
John, do you know, I think you referenced other districts that have grading policies. Are there any other districts whose grading policies you like that we could look into? and
Like
maybe make it
Lincoln?
go
I was,
back?
well, I was on the committee for both previous districts I was in, so I really like those because I had a part to play in them. Lincoln didn't have one when I came in and that one, I liked, but not as much as the one that I wanted it to be tailored towards, which was Cumberland. Cumberland's going to be a little bit more difficult to replicate here because they have a standards-based grading policy for their middle school, which eliminates any kind of effect that a zero might have. It's just a 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything's rubric-based, standards-based for grading. And that some of those things I would like to see here. I think a standards-based rubric is important for all summative assessments. Again, to use that grade or that school grade as a data piece to look at kids and whether or not they need supports or could be not just remediation, could be needs for enrichment, but it gives a more accurate understanding of what they know. And you can tailor that to goals that you have in the school, like RICAS.
You know, I appreciate your time. I know that you've been here for about 30 seconds and already you seem like you delve right
Been
into.
like 4 hours. Isn't it?
I know. This whole grading policy is a much bigger discussion for
Yeah.
our district. And I know that Carol Blanchett, our previous superintendent, as well as Lori Andres, they both brought it up. So maybe that's something that can be tackled this year as part
Yeah.
of the strategic plan. It could be one of the goals of our strategic plan.
And in the meantime, just feel comfortable knowing that there's workarounds and things that I'm doing to get teacher buy-in and student buy-in that'll be helpful.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, John. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Is it just a draft?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Do you need approval from us or is it just a draft being presented to us?
Dana, did you vote on the elementary ones? Did they vote on the?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to pass the high school and middle school handbooks as presented by
Do I have
our
a
esteemed, I'm not done with my motion. As discussed with our esteemed principals this evening.
Do I have?
I said as discussed.
Yeah.
Let's go to the tie.
You're worried what?
Yeah, as
Oh.
discussed. Okay.
As discussed.
I said so moved.
I think as discussed will cover us for the changes. Second, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Does anybody here tonight have any announcements? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry.
We were going to talk about kids count last time. It was going to be tabled to this month.
Put it on in October.
Can we do that?
Yes, definitely.
We have
Um,
that whole big data pack, right?
Yeah, because that's
I
really
also
important stuff to
think-
talk about.
Hey, Michael, before you go, sorry. In October, will we be able to discuss the RICAS data and the achievement data? PSAT and RICE, and also the RICAS data for October. Can we do that for October? You got preliminary only, right? When are when are they putting that out? Okay, all right, thank you. Because we're gonna try to have like a good data discussion. I wanted to wrap that in, but thank you, John. Thank you,
Good night.
Michael. I won't call you back.
Michael, I have another quick question.
Sure.
So, tonight we did not have Zoom participation.
I know why.
I think Mary pointed out to me that it's.
I noticed that it wasn't there, but was it on the?
I don't think it was on. Okay, that works.
So were there anybody on? Was there anybody?
Yeah.
There were 20 people watching? Oh, I didn't see that. Hey, Kristen, the next time, can you keep the people's names so we can see? Oh, I didn't see it. We were probably so busy yet.
So that, the reason why I'm asking is,
Responding.
in the past, we've not, because of Zoom, we've not been meeting in all the other schools. And so we decided that we would have all our meetings here, but we talked about, and it was Kevin that brought it up. Maybe we could still schedule like a tour of the schools, if nothing else, to see what the building committee feels like we need to fix. And I don't know if we
Okay.
should do that individually, or if anyone else besides myself is interested in this,
You-
or.
We talked
Can-
about that, yeah.
Right.
Chris, is it a question? Can we move this to one of our other locations? Okay, perfect. Why don't we plan on moving the locations for the next meeting?
And if the next meeting is too soon,
We can
Excuse
do
me?
Hope, or we can do North Situate.
how you gonna give me a ride?
Help for the teacher of the year school, and that's the high school.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we'll do it for
It doesn't
November.
I mean, it
Correct.
doesn't have to be that. I don't think,
Correct.
does it?
But
Oh,
Chris, we'll get
at the
back to
school
you as
where-
far as the other
I mean,
location.
You don't.
It's only going to
Just-
be 3 other locations. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just the 3 elementary schools. Okay? All right, but we'll let you know. It looks like October will stay here.
I've already told the teachers the first day of school, they wanted to know when Maggie Stormont would be on that school committee. I told them
Okay.
October.
They can't go to North Situate?
I don't know.
No, I'm only kidding with you.
No, okay, we already honored her twice.
Yes, we're all set. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.